What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition, the return edition of Lucrative MMA's Parlay Madness, episode 21. It's been a long time, boys. I ain't been live for a while, and I definitely haven't done Parlay Madness for a while. You know, I was on a 6-month hiatus outside of my office, and so it was kind of tough for me to go live. I was in America, I was in Thailand, different time zones, etc., etc. We did go live a couple of times, me and JB. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it every week, but back by popular demand, I got so many comments on my last YouTube video telling me to bring this show back. So we're here. We are back. And I've got a special guest for you today. So my man JB was meant to be on, I wanted to do the return show with him, of course. Unfortunately, 30 minutes before the show, he couldn't make it. So I had to scramble for a new guest, and my man, come in clutch. I thought I was going to have to go live alone, which I don't mind to do, but I wanted to do this show with a guest, and one man answered the call. He's coming in on short notice to smash the bouquets like Felipe Lima did. It's my man, Dravi. What's going on, bro?
Hi, what's up, bro? Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking fight with you and for the return of the Parlay Madness. So let's get it, bro. Let's make some money.
Exactly, bro. And I know you're like me, you got good ROI on parlays, at least from what I've seen. You cash parlays quite often. We don't do the massive ones, maybe like the two-leggers, the rare three-leggers, but you yourself are good at parlays as well. So I think it's like the perfect guest to have on. Good man. All right, so boys, I hope you are ready to make a lot of money because we already got 110 live viewers here. Shout out to all the 110. I expect us to break that 1,000 barrier not too long, especially when we start giving the heat. So if you're here right now, like the video, throw some comments in. I'll address the chat. This is a big one, boys. UFC 309 pay-per-view, John Jones versus Miocic. Let's get into it without further ado. So like I said, John Jones versus Miocic is in Madison Square Garden. I hope you like the new graphics, by the way. We had to step up the game, boys. And it's green. The color is green for money green because we're about to make a lot of money. We got 13 bouts this weekend in MSG, Madison Square Garden. First fight of the night. Should we do the paper? Should we start from the top? No, you know what? We'll start from the bottom, as we always used to do. So, unfortunately, boys, I don't have a strong read on this one, and I kind of didn't really want to come back for this card. And I'll tell you the reason is because I ain't got a lot of strong reads on this card, and I ain't got a lot of bets on this card. And obviously, I wanted to come back to do my Parlay Madness show where I had a lot of strong reads. I could light up the chat. I could tell you a million hot takes, make you millions of dollars. But obviously, the cards are not always like that, right? You just have to bet what the card gives you. And in my opinion, the card ain't giving me too much this week. So I'm still going to give you my opinion, still going to give you some hot takes probably. But this isn't going to be a fight that I'm doing that on. Now, I was actually doing tape study for this fight just before we came on. It's the last fight that I was done tape study for. And that's because I thought the line would be, fairly close, bouncing around as it is. It's been almost the same for most of the time. A little bit of money came in on Hardy, but for the most part, the line has stayed similar. And I knew that, and I knew it was going to be hard to get a read on this one. So, yeah, I was doing tape study before we came on. Unfortunately, I didn't finish tape study. I had to get a guest, so I cut the tape study short. I was like halfway through Hardy's tape study. I had already watched the Moura side, so yeah, like coming into the UFC, I didn't think Moura was that good. I actually bet Moura on Contender Series to win inside the distance at big plus money, which was kind of crazy. I think it was like plus 180 or plus 200 or something like that. Obviously, probably should have been a minus 280, minus 200. She dominated her opponent on a Contender Series. I just thought that was an easy matchup for her. Obviously, I didn't play her in her debut at minus 700, although she, potentially covered that line. I honestly thought she was a bit of a fraud coming into the UFC, even though I played her on Contender Series. And that's because, all down to one fight, Dravi. If you go back and watch, I think it's the split decision fight, right? I can't remember the girl's name, so I'm going to show you right now. They're trying to sell me some boots. I don't know why. Yeah, so if we go back to the split decision fight against Aline Satelmaya, I think it's that one. Well, honestly, it might have been this amateur bout here. I think I watched. Yuli Alves. She goes back and forth with this chick, right? Back and forth grappling. They're grappling each other in a ring, by the way. It's in a boxing ring, Muay Thai ring. And the girl is a Muay Thai striker through and through, right? If we look at Alves's record and some of her tape, she's 1-3 amateur fighter. And she's a Muay Thai fighter. Look, she's got Muay Thai fights as recent as 2023. In one championship, she's a Muay Thai fighter. She's not an MMA fighter, right? She's had no MMA bouts, professional. None. Only Muay Thai. All of her MMA bouts are amateur, and they're before her Muay Thai career. So she's a Muay Thai fighter through and through. And she is grappling 50-50 with Moura. It's very even in the grappling. Now, obviously, this was back in 2021. But at the end of the day, Moura was still 27 years old at that point, right? She has made improvements now in 2024. But if you go back and watch that fight, like, there's a lot of red flags. And it does come up in some of her MMA fights. The first takedown she shot in both of her UFC fights did not look good. So the first fight, she shot a takedown attempt against Rendon, Montserrat Ruiz, right? She got stuffed immediately by a midget, right? She looked 2 weight classes bigger than the girl, and she got stuffed. Now, luckily, she was able to sweep when she went to her back, but you ain't going to be able to sweep every single fighter in the UFC, right? Ruiz is just not a good fighter. Second takedown in her second fight, or second takedown, aka the fight she fought Diniz Gomez in. The first takedown she shot in that fight, what happened? She got put into a guillotine, a bad guillotine. It was close. On another day, someone else might have tapped her out, right? So the holes are still there. Now, the thing is, she's big, she's strong, she's physical. For the weight class that she was in, obviously she's moving up in weight now. That's another talking point. And she's relentless, right? And she does have a decent top game. So I do think she's getting better. I do think she's improving. But at the end of the day, man, those fraud vibes, quote unquote, I saw in that amateur fight, in my opinion, we still see even to this day. Now, on the other hand, I like Veronica Hardy, right? Obviously, when she come back against Juliana Miller, I thought she would be as bad as she was when she left 3 years ago. I thought Juliana Miller was going to get on top of her and stop her. I played down to 2.5 rounds there. It didn't happen, and so I lost the bet, right? Ever since that day, I bet on Veronica Hardy in all of her fights, right? So a fight against Jamie Lynn Horth, I got her. She went underdog there, which was insane. I bet her against JJ Aldridge as well. In this fight at the moment, before tape finished, I am definitely not betting on her again. I am getting off the train here, although I do think she can have some upside. Like I said, I do want to finish off Veronica Hardy's tape, right? Because I watched round 1 of the Horth fight, and she looked good in that round. But I know that later on in that fight, and as I said, I had to cut off the tape, but later on in that fight, she did look a little bit weathered, and I did better in that fight. I don't know, it was a split decision. It was a clear win for Hardy. Bad judging there, but we always get bad judging, right? Basically, Dravi, this fight comes down to, if Veronica is going to be able to stop the takedowns consistently and how Moura looks up a weight class. Maybe Moura has better gas tank up a weight class. If so, maybe she can get her down in round 3. She still got Diniz Gomez down in round 3, completely gassed. Multiple times, I should say as well. And it was a close fight. It was a split decision, and I agreed with a split in terms of it seemed like a bit of a 50-50 fight to me. And Diniz Gomez is a good fighter. She is strong. She is physical. I don't know who's more physical because obviously Hardy used to get dominated in that realm, but she competes in powerlifting competitions now because Dan Hardy knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's an Englishman. Of course he's smart. So he's putting her through powerlifting competitions. He's making her lift weights. Like, this is what she needed from the jump. And obviously she's got that taekwondo to fall back on at all times. So she's improving drastically. But I do think Moura has the exact game to beat her 3-4 years ago. Right? So I don't know if it's going to work now. I still believe that if someone gets on top of her, they can smash her. Right? I don't think she's improved those things. At the end of the day, she's not going to be the best fighter of all time. There's still holes in her game. And if you're picking a hole in Hardy's game, I am going to say that it will be the ground game. She can play off her back too much. She can play jiu-jitsu a little bit. And I've seen her brutalized from top position more than once. So I do think that could happen again. And Moura is the type of person to do it with. But with the holes I've seen in her game, it's not a type of fighter I can trust in this spot. And like I said, Hardy at juice is kind of annoying because she is going against someone who could exploit her weaknesses. I believe she still has. So I'll finish off tape. Maybe I'll make a different decision, but that's my breakdown for now. Sorry it's a long breakdown, but it's the first time I've been back in a while, and I wanted to give a full breakdown of that. So yeah, Dravi, tell me what you think, bro.
Yeah, I do like the Hardy side on that one. I thought the same thing at first. She was like closely lying her last couple fights, and then or a big underdog in the middle fight, and then she's a favorite here. And Moura was the favorite against Gomes, and now the underdog. So I thought maybe some recency bias, but I think, to be honest, the market's adjusting to Artie. Like, she's just not the same fighter she used to be, in my opinion. Like, the improvement she's made is good. If I'm not mistaken, she did move up a weight class herself, right? Because she used to fight, I think, at lower weight class, or
Who, Moura?
yeah, Moura, right? But Artie was always at 125.
Moura fought at flyweight before.
Yeah. All right.
So she's back at the weight class she used to fight at, but she's bounced up and down.
Yeah. I think Hardy definitely got bigger. Also, like you said, with the powerlifting and everything. And it's hard for me to know who's stronger between her and Gomes. But I do think that Hardy does a better job at, getting on top in scrambles and stuff like that. And Moura, like, when she gets tired, she does shoot bad takedowns. And Artie has shown to, like, use her BJJ to get on top in scrambles and when people are shooting bad takedowns. So I think that's pretty live here that we see Moura shooting a takedowns and somehow Artie end up on top. And if Moura end up on top, then that's obviously an issue because, like you said, Artie get up game is not very good. She tends to play BJJ off her back sometimes, and I don't really like that. But the way I see it personally, I think on the feet there's a big advantage for Artie, and I think that her footwork and overall movement in the big cage going to be a problem for Moura to track her and land the takedowns. And also, there's a massive speed advantage for Artie here. Like, she's much faster than Moura. Moura is very hittable at first, and now, like we said, she's moving up a weight class. But like, her striking has never been great. She rely on getting takedowns to win fight. And Artie, when she's fresh and using a lot of these movement, I think she's gonna piece her up on the feet. And I think that the movement's gonna be too much. But I'll say though, Artie slowed down herself in round 3 sometimes in fight. Her best round or often early in fight. And I think that's a problem for Moura because that's the same for her. She needs to have success early to implement her style. And I think that in that fight, Artie is going to win the first round, and that's going to be hard for Moura to come back in the fight after that. And yeah, I just think Artie overall is the much better striker. I think she's the faster girl. I think that she's on the like 3-fight winning streak. She has all the momentum going here. And Moura, like, she used to be a weight bully down a weight class, now moving up against a girl in Artie that has looked strong before. Yeah, I think Moura Pat is like probably a close 29-20 decision. Maybe Artie is also has the same path, but if somehow, like, I'm not convinced that Moura's gonna get her down, right? And if she doesn't get her down, I think Artie is gonna look like a big favorite. And even if Moura can implement her game and get her down like 1 or 2 times, I don't think she's gonna look like a big favorite personally. So, like I said, I think Artie could still end up on top if Moura have success. And on the feet, I think Artie is gonna piece her up badly. So I think she wins here, probably a decision. But maybe some Artie 2-3 can be interesting. There's big prices on it. And at the end of the day, we don't really know about Moura moving up a weight class. It's probably going to be a good thing because she used to be so big, but maybe she's not going to be as strong now as this girl. Maybe she doesn't bully as much, and maybe, it's not going as well. But I know what I'm getting with Artie, and I think she's the better fighter overall here. And like I said, I think the footwork is going to be too much for Moura to track her down early in the big cage, and the speed's going to be too much as well. So I think Artie's going to get it done.
Yeah, I could see that, man. Like I said, it's kind of a tough fight to call for me. I do want to finish that tape because, like I said, I was halfway through Hardy, and it definitely could tell me a little bit more. I don't mind a little, like Pepe's saying here, right? Hardy is going to submit her. You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't.
JB's here. I'm JB. The other JB, unfortunately, had technical difficulties, as he said above. I don't mind a little underhit. And now I don't think I'm going to play it because Hardy decision machine. At the end of the day, Moura seems like, she's getting a step up outside of Gomez. So maybe her finishing doesn't translate. But there's definitely a path for this under to hit because Moura puts her head in guillotines constantly, 24/7. Dan Hardy's a smart motherfucker. He's probably I was just every time I saw Moura shoot those lazy double legs when she was gassed, even early, up against the cage, putting her head down by the hips. I just imagine Dan Hardy drilling with Veronica Hardy the guillotine. I just imagined him drilling that consistently time and time again. Now, I think for the most part, they'll be drilling underhooks and swiveling off the cage and, trying to get away from that and maybe some knees and uppercuts. But I'm sure to get them out of danger and even to finish the fight, they've been heavily drilling guillotines. So, I could see a guillotine from Hardy here. Obviously, she got that one armbar win in one of her earlier UFC fights. That's possible. If I am right and that those holes are still there for Moura, an armbar is possible. And obviously on the Moura side, like I said, if Hardy still has those weaknesses that she has shown back in the day on bottom, then she could also get smashed on bottom. So obviously it's likely to go to decision. But what do you think about the under?
I think it's decent because before Moura last fight, I think she finished almost all her fights. She has only one decision win. Like she's normally a finisher, but like you said, maybe at this level she's not as much of a finisher. But if she can get her game going, get on top and dominate and win, I think she's gonna have opportunity to finish the fight. And Hardy, I could see her hurting Moura on the feet also. And this like you said, the guillotine, I see it as well. And maybe even an armbar. So I do think that there is some upside on both sides for the under. But the new glove also, so maybe the punch is gonna land harder now.
Hardy gonna get her first knockout with punches. I can see it coming right now. This is a good point from Fatita Brothers. That's quite a funny name. Like he was saying, at first glance he was over Moura, but now Veronica's footwork is going to irritate her. And the thing about that is, I haven't seen her against someone with this footwork, which is obvious, right? She just came into the UFC and fought bums. So in the Diniz Gomez fight, in my opinion, that was a good performance. I know she got gassed out. I know she didn't look great visually, but Gomez is a strong fighter. She's a physical fighter. Gomez got good cardio for sure. She hits very hard, like split decision there, argument to win. That was a good performance for her, for sure, in my opinion, right? But Gomez just walks forward like a fucking tank, an idiot, and just kept letting her get to her hips like every single time, man. She didn't throw any knees. She didn't throw any uppercuts, basically. She never tried to circle away. She just kept walking straight forward into Moura's shots. So Veronica ain't going to do that, right? So although it was a good performance and she got a lot of takedowns and she shot a lot and she looked very sticky and clingy and annoying and a grinding wrestler, 26 takedowns or whatever it was, at the end of the day, she might shoot 4 here because Veronica's just going to be on the other side of the cage. And every time they are in distance, she's getting kicked and stuff. So, that is something that I thought of as well. Hardy might just completely shut her down with the footwork. I will say, though, if she kicks, which she will do, Moura does time takedowns off kicks very well. So, but then again, I do think, not to bang on about Dan Hardy, but I do kind of think Dan Hardy's going to be seeing that. And I mean, his whole job is to analyze MMA. Like, he's got a YouTube channel. He does what we're doing right now, and he speaks about this stuff day in, day out. So I think he's going to see the kicks and be like, you know what? Just sting her with a jab. She's got some good boxing when she's popping in and out of range. Specifically, the boxing match, she's terrible. But in terms of MMA boxing in and out with the Taekwondo movement, she can jab your face and 1-2. So, that's another interesting point about this. I do think that might be something to look out for. But yeah, we spent enough time on that one, Drav. The only last thing we will do is speak about the bets on this fight. So if there's any bets that you would put in a parlay, if there's any bets you think are plus EV in general, what I'll do is I'll write it down on our online notepad, and then at the end of the show, we're going to make a parlay for the people, including one or more of the bets that we choose. So is there anything that stands out for you on this one?
Yeah, I like the money line for Art. Just pretty simple here. I think it's minus 140. I think there's value on that. I think she should be at minus 200 in that spot. And we both agree on the under being a decent look. I don't know if you want to put it in. I don't mind it. I think it was plus 210. Yeah, okay. Plus 210.
Yeah, I'll write it down. And Drav.
Oh, never mind. It's actually plus 250 on Bet Online.
Nice. Yeah, so I'll ask you for the odds. They'll be similar to Bet365, but we'll use Bet365 just because it's easier to navigate. It's a little bit cleaner. It looks better. And also because Bet Online doesn't have all of the props available, like the over 1.5 in the Jones fight and stuff like that, that we might want to use the alternate round props and some other bets like round 3 decision, etc. So I might ask you for the odds as we go, Dravi. But yeah, we'll write down the under 2.5. And boys, it doesn't mean that we're going to use these bets. These are just bets that we deem plus EV. And at the end of the show, we will go down and we'll basically make a parlay. All right, so next fight on the card is going to be Elliott versus Basel Hafez. I'll let you take this one away. What do you think about this one, bro? The money line blew out crazy for Elliott. We got Hafez coming back with a massive underdog price tag. Do you think it's worthy for that or not?
Yeah, maybe I was a part of it, of the earlier line. You sit around under minus 200 for a couple days. Now I think the value kind of switched high at the current price. I think that Hafez is probably the side at the current number plus 240. But the way I see this fight playing out, I think Elliott is just a better all-around fighter. I trust his cardio better. I like his striking better. He throws straight shot down the middle. I like his footwork. And I think he looked career best in his last fight, to be honest. I like him better as the fight goes on, and he's shown very good takedown defense, and he has a good ground game himself. So it's like Hafez does hit hard, and we've seen Elliott get hurt before. So there's a possibility that Hafez can swing rounds based on damage and potentially knock Elliott out. But I don't really think it's very likely, to be honest. At the end of the day, Hafez, he only has one career KO, and he does hit hard, to his credit, but I don't think him finishing the fight is very likely. So with that being said, I have to favor Elliott for 15 minutes, and I think that Elliott could potentially even get his own finish in that spot. But the way I see it, more often than not, Hafez, he's a tough dude. He has a brick forehead. I could see Elliott even hurting him, but I don't think he's going to finish him. And I don't really see how Hafez is going to be able to take him down or hold him down. I mean, Elliott, the way he was defending takedown in his last fight, he was doing all the right thing. Good hips, fighting the hands, everything. I really like what I've seen. So I think that's a good matchup for him here. I think he's going to just outwork Hafez for 15 minutes probably and win the decision. But like I said, if we go on the current price, I mean, Hafez is the money line side at plus 240. But I still think that's a value loser, if I can say. We've got a lot this year. I think that at the current price, Elliott probably win a minus EV decision. I think him around minus 230 makes sense. 70%. Now it's minus 280. I don't like it as much. But yeah, I'm gonna pick him to win. I think he get it done by decision.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Obviously, if Elliott was minus 200, we probably would be having a different conversation. But he is minus 300, and I do think that's a little bit wide. And I guess that's mainly based on Elliott's chin, man, and the amount of times I've seen him get hurt, and a couple of the losses he has on the regional scene in Cage Warriors. They're not great. Now he's definitely coming more into his prime here. He's a motherfucker. He's a dog. He's going to keep fighting just like Hafez, but seems to me like Elliott gets fucking hurt a lot, man. He really does get cracked a lot. And I think Hafez has the durability upside here for sure. And he has the power upside as well. When you have more power than your opponent and better durability than your opponent, it definitely evens out a lot of the skill set. I'll tell you that now. And it may just be that Elliott is just too much skilled for him because, like I said, or like you said, he probably won't be able to grapple him too tough. Although, there is a chance that he can steal a couple of rounds with top time here. I know Preston Parsons he underperformed in that fight, but if you remember, that was the fight in the UK, and they was fighting at a strange time compared to what they're used to. And, that could have affected a lot of fighters that day. And maybe Preston Parsons was one of the fighters that got affected. So, we have to take that into consideration as well. There was fighting at 5 a.m. in the morning or something like that. And, that's not normal, right, for anyone. And a lot of the fighters were complaining about it. So, yeah, we have to keep that in mind. It may have been a different fight if that not had happened. And I feel like the lines are being it seems like it's being influenced by recency bias, That was a big performance there. He came through as an underdog, and now he's a massive, massive favorite against someone who, in my opinion, has got a better durability and he hits harder than him. So yeah, I definitely can't get to money line at the moment. I think Hafez is the side here. Will I play it? I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. So in terms of the bets, we'll go to Bet Online and have a look at the lines at the moment. And yeah, Hafez life and death with Mickey Gall, not a great look. Perry Lewis saying how quickly. Yeah, Kike Brito almost had him, man.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, I think Brito's better striker than Hafez, and he does it very hard himself. But like for to his credit, Elliott, he still managed a way to win in that fight, and I think he's improving a lot fight to fight, to be honest.
Yeah, he seems that way. But like I said, I don't want to look at that Preston Parsons fight and say like, that's just him and that's all it is. Because outside of if Preston Parsons ain't getting his takedowns going too tough, he ain't really gonna look that good. So yeah, I just feel like it's been a bit of an overcorrection on Oban Elliott here.
That's fair.
Yeah, so at the moment, me personally, I like Bessel Hafez, money line. We look at the decision. The KO prop, I like the KO prop at plus 1,000. I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous how they have Oban Elliott's KO prop at plus 450 and then Bessel Hafez's KO prop at plus 1,000. I mean, talk to me a little bit about the difference in the KO props there. Do you agree with that difference?
Yeah, no, I think it should be. I think it should be closer. I think they're doing it that way just because Hafez only has one KO and he didn't put Mickey Gall out. I think that's why. And to your point, some recency bias in that for sure. I don't think he's gonna finish him personally, but I think he's live to hurt him. So just with that being the case, I think your KO angle makes sense. For me personally, it's gonna be like Elliott decision. I think that's how the fight ends. Man, I don't really see him finishing Hafez because I do rate both guys' durability in the matchup. But yeah, I think it's going to be like a fun fight at the end.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun fight. Definitely going to be a war. Me personally, I would completely flip these. I would make Oban Elliott a plus 1,000 to get the KO and Bessel Hafez a plus 450. But obviously, when you have a big underdog, that never happens, right? You never get the big underdog with like a much lower KO line. It just doesn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to write down Bessel Hafez. He's plus 240 on Bet Online. So we're going to use Bet Online prices as we did for the Hardy Moura fight. What else we got? The KO. What's the KO line on Bet Online, Drav? Can you tell me? It's not going to be that.
Yeah, it's plus. Oh, it's plus 700 on Bet Online, but it's plus 1,000 on Bet.
So what's Elliott's KO line on Bet Online?
On Bet Online, it's plus 700. Elliott, you mean?
Yeah.
Plus 500.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes a lot more sense, right? It's very, very close. Like,
yeah,
that makes way more sense to me. I wouldn't have argued that much on that one. So yeah, is there anything you want to put? I've put Hafez in his KO line. I also think the under is kind of big again because, like, again, I do think it is going to be a decision, but like I said, Hafez has a chance to KO him, and I think they're just going to be swinging in the middle of the octagon. Honestly, man, I'm going to put the under at plus 210. I think the plus 210 is too wide. I don't expect it to finish, though, and I won't use this in my parlay, but I am going to put it down. Drav, is there anything you want to put on this fight? And again, if there's nothing that you think's plus EV at the moment, like I know you said early lines on Elliott, you can pass. You don't have to choose something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the decision prop on Elliott there. It's minus 125 on Bet Online. It looks square a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like that's really how I see the fight playing out, and I don't think he's going to finish him. So it's like I do favor him over 15 minutes. He's just been the better fighter over a course of 15 minutes overall, and I think it should be like 60% of his win condition, maybe minus 150. So not a ton of value on it, but I might use it. So we're going to put it there.
Yeah, he's way more put together as an MMA fighter for sure, man. Hafez swings these wild hooks, and if he can't get his wrestling game going, which based on the Parsons fight seems like he might not be able to do, he's going to be fucking struggling, I'll tell you that for sure. But man, there's an argument to say that Hafez is a little bit more stronger and he has a little bit more strength and a little bit more sticky from top position than Preston Parsons has, So yeah, it'll be interesting to see it play out. I think it's going to be a banger regardless, like you said. Next fight, boys, is Gall versus Brahimaj. Now, Lord, I can't lie, man. I don't like many money lines on here, and I'm not going to say I love this money line, but one of the money lines I am looking at the moment is Gall, which doesn't sound good because I never loved Gall as a fighter. I don't think he's high level, but I think he's better in most realms than Brahimaj. I really do. And it seems like if Brahimaj can't get their first round submission, he ain't really offering too much. Gall's at least look good in round threes. I'm yet to say that about Ramiz. You know, Gall has better cardio and better striking in this matchup. So the thing is, though, Ramiz has top time upside. Even in round 2 and round 3, I do think they could probably get takedowns and get on top. Like, I think it's a possibility, not whether I'm picking it to happen or not. So it's a little bit risky. And obviously, this is a lower level fight, right? This is a low level fight. Not even a lower. Just this is a low level fight. So when you have low level fights, random shit happens that you can't really see on tape. You don't really predict, but the shit just happens and you're screaming at your TV like when Melissa Mullins didn't shoot a takedown or couldn't get that Segula chick down for like however many minutes. And I'm like, fuck's sake, man, just, you know, shoot a takedown and you're going to get on top and dominate. And I played her there and inside the distance. And then obviously she did it and it was easy. But it's one of those ones where if she rematches next week, she might just not shoot a takedown for the first 2 rounds, or she just can't get her down because she's just low level. And then round 3, it's like a 10-8 and you draw and you're like 2-0 down. And that shit just happens like that in low level MMA and it pisses me off. So I could imagine, you know, getting in the Gall train here at minus money and then him getting taken down and just like, I guess, dominated on the ground for round 1 or something like that. But I see the fight playing out like Ramiz probably does get a takedown, but I don't think he's going to finish Gall because I think Gall's decent at staying safe. His jiu-jitsu is pretty good. I think he can stay safe, in my opinion. And, man, if you stay safe for round 1, you're probably going to run away in round 2 and round 3. And I mean, run away with the fight, not run away from the fight. So that's what I'm picking to happen, mate. I think Gall has a chance to finish this one inside the distance as well. I saw the GTD was minus 130. And I was like, well, you're probably fading the Brahimaj round 1 and like Gall round 3, Gall round 3 when Brahimaj is gassed. But at the same time, it is a little bit sticky. Same price for Gall money line, maybe a little bit wider. I kind of like that a little bit more because I honestly do think that Gall could put it on Ramiz quite late. So yeah, that's my breakdown. I think Gall money line is the side. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, it's a tricky fight for me here, James, to be honest. I also consider a Gall bet. I ended up passing on it just because, you know, if I play him at chalk and he end up losing, I'll hate myself. But at the same time, it's like I do think he's gonna win. And my worry is more about I do believe that Rami is gonna be able to get takedown, maybe 1 or 2, and early, probably. Yeah. And when he does, I have concerns about Gall play off his back. To his credit, he did a better job in his last fight, not like getting back to his feet way quicker. But in some of these fights, you know, in all of his UFC career, he play off his back a bit too much. And that's concerning because Ramiz, you know, he could get a back take and win around like that or just top time him. And I think that's possible, you know, so I have some concerns about that. But at the same time, I mean, Ramiz, he looked awful in his last fight. He only landed 3 significant strikes. He showed bad fight IQ. He was going for the same takedowns over and over again. Even his corner was saying, stop going for that. It's not working. And he was still going for the same takedowns, getting reversed and stuff. So I think he looked awful. Didn't really want to win in that fight. And Gall, like, he lost, but he looked kind of good in that win. You know, I think that's the best he looked in years. And I think he looked bad in the loss, and I think the other guy looked awful in the loss. And Gall wanted to win that fight. He try at least, you know. I don't even feel like Rami's really trying his last fight. So I think Gall is the better striker. I think he's going to show more volume. And yeah, I think he's a decent grappler himself. So I don't, like you said, I don't think Rami is going to submit him. So with that being said, I do favor Gall over 15 minutes. And the line is projecting to go over and to go the distance. So I think him being a favorite makes sense. How does he win though? I think I'm going to lean decision because, you know, he's not really I don't think he's that good of a finisher. and Ramis is durable, but he does slow down, and Gall has better cardio. So maybe a late finish, like you kind of mentioned, is on the table. But I think Gall's gonna win probably by decision. But like you said, man, these type of fight like finishes can happen more often than not because a lot of lower level shits happen, and I think Ramis sub one in most of his win condition probably. So not a bad look if you like that side. But overall, I think Gall's the side, even if the price seems kind of nasty. Yeah, 12 to 1, the sub one. It's not bad. He's only
Yeah, no, it's definitely not bad, man. I mean, have all his subs been in round one? Like, I think most of them, right? I don't think he's ever won outside of. He's never won a decision.
All of his win outside one is sub one. He has one submission in round two.
Yeah. So there you go, man. I mean, when they're giving odds like that for stats like that, it's always not a bad shot. Even just as like a little hedge bet. Obviously, things can get tricky then, but if you're on a Mickey Gall money line, it doesn't take much to hedge on a 12-1 shot to help you out if he does get his win condition there. So yeah, I guess we're both on the Mickey Gall side. Maybe not as confident as me, but I'll write down Mickey Gall money line because I do think that definitely that's the plus EV. You agree on that one as well?
Yeah. That's the only thing I'm gonna write down. But we agree on this side. I'm not as passionate about it, but I think he's gonna win. So
okay. So what's the odds for Mickey Gall money line, bro?
It's minus 143.
Okay, not too bad. Getting hit a little bit. I'm not gonna fuck around with the ITDs and stuff because, like you said, he is more of a decision machine. But I don't know. There's something telling me that he can get something done in rounds 2 or round 3.
I mean, at the end of the day, James, I think all of his wins are inside the distance. Mickey Gall. No, he only has one decision.
Yeah.
One decision. So yeah, he could finish probably, but I think decision's more likely, like we said.
Yeah, bro. I mean, Brahimaj seems tough, right? I know he doesn't offer much after round 1. He does seem tough though, but
yeah, it's more of a cardio thing if you get finished, I believe.
Yeah, there's just something telling me. I'm not going to parlay these though, so I'm not going to write these down here. But 2-3 again is another like long shot. We've given you the sub 1 for Ramis. We give you the 2-3 Mickey Gall. If you don't want to invest a lot of money on this fight, but you still want to have some money on it, chuck a $5, chuck a $10, whatever that is to you, then I think those 2-3 shots for Gall and the Brahimaj sub 1 are decent shots and should give you some action on the fight without investing too heavily. Next fight is Tybura versus Diniz. Yeah, I'll go on this one, Drav. So, man, he looks like a madman in that photo, isn't it? Look at that. What kind of haircut is that? Half of the hair is gone. That's terrible. He's a madman.
I don't know what he asked his barber. What do you think he asked him?
I think he just asked him to fuck him up or something like that.
Do me a favor, brother. That's what he said.
I'm not going to fade him this time out, but I was thinking of fading him. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking, I just had something inside me saying, Diniz is going to land the shot. Diniz is going to land the shot. We got to think, Tybura have been knocked out a million times, like back in the day, he got knocked out multiple times. And obviously against Aspinall more recently, don't take much from him. But I still feel like that the KO threat from Diniz, although I don't even think Diniz is like super great KO striker. Like, he seems kind of low volume. He's like, he ain't got that athletic KO like someone like Alex Pereira, another glory kickboxer, does, right? He's more of a Dustin Jacoby glory kickboxer, honestly. But he's still heavyweight. He still holds a lot of power. He is pinpoint. He does have pinpoint striking, and that's really what gets his KOs. I don't think he's like super powerful. I think he just lands with pinpoint accuracy and it can KO you. But that's all you need against Tybura. So I don't think Tybura has the best chin. I know he's took a lot of punishment after that KO run he had back in the day, but that's still there. This is the heavyweight division, and that's still there. He can get KO'd at any moment. Now, on the other hand, like, he's so much better of an MMA fighter, right? If he gets the fight to the ground, he could just completely dominate Diniz. And something I think that the line is a little bit off is Tybura KO at plus 525 odds. I'm not saying it's going to hit. He could definitely take him down and sub him, but he likes the ground and pound. It could have been a ground and pound against Tuivasa. It just ended up being a submission. It seemed like 50-50 in that regard. And, Diniz probably practices defending subs a lot, but in terms of defending ground and pound, it's not as easy to practice that. And, positional TKO on the mat is definitely possible. You got someone like Tybura on top of you. So I just thought the line was a little bit off because I think Diniz KO is like something stupid, like even money. And then you got Tybura KO at plus 525. It just seemed ridiculous to me because I know Martin has that submission equity as well, but if he takes him down, it's probably 50-50, man. So, yeah, I just don't think it should be that wide. But I'm not going to pick a side on this one, boys, because at the end of the day, I think both fighters can finish each other. I'm just going to say that I like the under 2.5 rounds in this spot drive. I don't know what the odds are for it now. If it is bet online the under 2.5 or is it 1.5?
Bet online is minus. It's under 1.5 plus 110, and on Bet365 it's minus 210 for the under 2.5.
I like both. I honestly like both. I think the fight ends inside the distance.
I agree with that.
I don't know when, but I do. In my opinion, it could literally come in round 2, just as it could come in round 1. Like I have no guess onto. I guess we have to say round 1 is more likely, obviously, right? That's the first round that happens, so it has to be more likely just based on that. It's going to happen before round 2, but in terms of like probabilities, I think they're fairly equal. It could happen in any round. I do think someone finishes drive. I think, Diniz KO on the feet. This is a binary matchup. When we get striker versus grapplers, it finishes a lot. So one thing I will mention is that Tybura getting armbarred from Gall in his last fight is kind of disgusting. And it's not good. It's not a good look because I thought Tybura had good jiu-jitsu and he was quite aware. And obviously things can happen. Things can happen. At the end of the day, it was in round 1. There's not much sweat at that point, but it's still not a good look in my opinion. He's coming back quite, not too long after that. Took some punishment against two of us and stuff. I don't know, man. I can't trust him. If this was like 3-4 years ago, I'll be betting Tybura at underdog price tag here. But especially now that he's gone to favorite, I'm just passing on the fight overall. But I do like the unders.
Yeah, that's the fight where I'm a bit more passionate than you on a particular side, and that's on the Diniz side. I have a good read on this guy overall. I bet him pretty big against Carl Williams. He was plus 200, and I bet the under 1.5 against Austin Lane. Almost lost the under 1.5 there, but he showed me great thing. In the Austin Lane fight, everybody was kind of shitting on him after and fading him against Carl Williams, but he showed me that he can still, he showed me that he's not a quitter. Let's put it that way. In that fight, that and he still has good cardio for a heavyweight. Even if he has to fight adversity, he can still come back in round 2 and nuke the guy. Which it's not the same. The same can be said for all these bigger guys. So I like that for him. I think he carries power late. He hurt Carl Williams every single round in that fight. And one thing about Diniz you didn't mention is like he's not the most powerful, but I do think he has big power. He's super precise, but one of his best weapon is his speed as an heavyweight. He's very, very fast. And the way he timed the left hook, I think is very nasty. And I think he's going to land on Tybura early. I mean, Tybura, all of his career almost, he's getting beat up in round 1. He's getting hurt, wobbles and stuff. He's very hittable, right? And he managed to get the takedowns and then win and comebacks and stuff like that. A lot of these fights, that's how you win. But now at 39 years old, how likely is it to still happen when you've been KO'd 5 times already in your career and you're facing again another kickboxer that hit hard, that's faster than you, then he's more durable than him, he's younger than him, he's a better striker, he hit harder, he's faster, a lot of good things, right? And then obviously, like you said, James, it's very binary. Tybura can get on top and it could be the round or the fight, absolutely. But I don't really rate this guy wrestling. I'm gonna be honest. I've looked a lot of tapes on it. The way he wrestled, he doesn't chain wrestle well. And Carl Williams, when he got Diniz down in round 3, Diniz defended the first shot. He needed to shoot again and again and chain wrestle to get it down. Tybura just doesn't do that. If you look the Volkov fight, for example, and a lot of his fights, Volkov defend the first takedown and then he's back at striking again. And it's not like he's gonna shoot right at it. He normally wait like 2 minutes and then you try to get his takedowns going and everything. So I personally don't think he's going to get him down. And Diniz takedown defense, I think it's good. What I don't like is the get up game and the ground game overall. Like obviously Tybura is the much better grappler, and if you get on top, that's big trouble. But on the feet, that's also big trouble for Tybura. And I personally don't rate his wrestling enough for me to think that he's gonna get him down. Carl Williams' fight was kind of the opposite. I thought that Williams would potentially take him down, but I was like, even if he does take him down, I think Diniz can still do enough on the feet to still rounds on damage. I think the same thing can happen here, by the way. And like you said, man, I mean, Tybura only has one submission win in the UFC. It's not like he's a big submission guy. Sometimes he prefers the ground and pound and stuff. But I don't really like. I think Diniz nuking him early is more likely, to be honest. And I don't think Tybura is going to be able to get him down. So with that being said, I mean, I like Diniz. I think he should be like, just a slight favorite, minus 125, and he's an underdog right now. So I think he's the side, absolutely. And I think just people are like, oh, Carl Williams was able to get him down. Carl Williams is a better wrestler than Tybura. Tybura is better grappler, he's more dangerous on top, but Carl Williams is a better chain wrestler. And I don't think that's the case for Tybura. And also, like we said, Tybura 39, and also he's on short notice here. Let's not forget he took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. So give me the guy who's younger, who has a lot of advantage. Just need to defend the takedowns, and he looked like a big favorite. And even if Tybura get him down late in the round, he could still not finish him, and then they come back round 2 on the feet, and he still can get knocked out. So yeah, I like Diniz quite a bit here. And a price that I don't really understand is the round 1 on Bet365. The price is way better than every books. So we're gonna take some. I'm not gonna take KO1 just because there's like no difference. But Diniz money line, Diniz round 1 for me at these odds. I think it's very good bets, and I think that's how I get it done. But like we said, binary. So you're under. I think you cover kind of both sides, and it's also a good way to play it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I love the round 1. That's great, man. So what is the round 1 and round 1 KO on Bet Online? Can you tell me?
Yeah, I got you. So on Bet Online for Diniz, if you go just round 1, it's plus 275.
Okay.
And KO1 on Bet Online is
Probably like plus 250.
it's I don't see. Wait a second. It's plus 300.
Okay, yeah. So I like Diniz round 1 plus 275. We'll write that here. Obviously not as good as Bet365, but that's fine. I definitely like it. I like the under as well. Under 1.5 was what, Drav?
Plus 110.
Yeah, I like that. I like under 2.5 as well, which we can only.
Yeah, and like James, you're getting fight doesn't go the distance. It's minus 325 on Bet Online, and you're getting the under 2.5 at minus 210 on Bet Online. So that's definitely a good play.
Yeah. I don't know why there's such I get different book, but ridiculous difference for 2.5 minutes. So yeah, I like all of those. Obviously, I assume you want to write down the Diniz money line.
Yeah, because there's a word where just you win a decision based on damage. I mean, it just happened in his last fight, so I don't want to, there's not like a massive difference, especially with the price at plus 275. There's not like a big difference between the two, and he's still an underdog. So yeah, I like the money line.
Yeah, Tybura is not the best wrestler, man. He's fat. He gets you up against the cage. He squishes you, and he tries to trip you or something like that. He's not a great wrestler. Carl Williams, for sure, like you said earlier, definitely a better wrestler, man. Way better. Do you only want to write Diniz money line down? I mean, we got the round 1 already up there.
Yeah, I'm good with that with them.
Okay. Next fight, boys. Roberto Romero versus David Onama. So, I like David Onama. I hated him when he fought Gabriel Benitez, but he proved to me he was real after that, I just didn't think he should be a favorite in that fight. I was definitely wrong. Probably knocks that dude out many, many times. I bet on Onama in his last fight against Jonathan Pierce, which was a good bet. And I haven't done tape on this fight because this is a short notice fight. Roberto Romero, don't know anything about him. Tell me about him, bro. Have you done tape on this one?
Yeah, I did actually. I did have some interest on him after tapes. I ended up not betting it, but I think he's gonna, if he doesn't die early, I think he can make that one a fight. On paper, he doesn't really look like a guy that the UFC should be signing, but after looking into tapes, I understand why they did it. He's kind of he's a Mexican. He's a guy that won't fuck off, that will get in your face. I was pretty sure the guy had a boxing background looking in his tapes, but I did a lot of research on him, and he doesn't, apparently, but he does train at a boxing gym and an MMA gym. And overall, the guy is just, he moves his head a lot in the pocket, a lot of head movement, throwing a lot of boxing combination, good clinch also, mix up the grappling a little bit. So I like his game. I think he's going to have some fun fights in the UFC, and potentially he's going to win some fights also. And he's also very tough. I've seen him get hurt and get dropped 2 times, I think, but his recovery seems very good. So that might be a problem against Onama here. What I don't like is he's taking this on a very short notice, right? Taking this on a week notice. He actually fight his last fight in July on short notice, and I've listened to an interview about it because he stepped in on very short notice. He said he was ready, always trainings and stuff. But if you look, he weighing in at 150 pounds. It was a catch. It was a fight scheduled at 145. So he missed weight by 5 pounds in that fight. So that's a bit concerning here. Maybe he's going to miss again. I'm not sure. And the fight, I've watched a couple of his fight. I watched the draw. I've watched the fight, the split decision win he has against Ivan Tana. The fight was a banger. I mean, the guy landed like 110 strikes on him after like 6-7 minutes. That was a crazy back and forth. So he's just a guy that's going to throw a lot of boxing combination, get in the pocket, mix in the kicks a little bit, good elbows and stuff. But what he get touched and hurt by is like knee up the middle, elbows in close range and stuff like that. And Onama, obviously, he hit like a truck. He's going to be bigger than him, and he fought the much better guys, and he has a full camp here. So I think Onama is going to get it done, obviously. But Onama has shown questionable and even bad cardio at time, and he has shown that maybe he can be broken in fights. So maybe that's possible here, to be honest. And I've been an Onama guy. I bet him pretty big against GSP. He was the underdog, but I'm also, I fade him against Gabriel Santos when he was a big favorite, and he's just not a guy that you can trust at minus 1,000, whatever it is. So it's absolutely dog or pass for me. But for a play there, James, I'll go with the over 1.5. That's what I like the most on the fight. It's minus 135. Yeah, it's minus 135. I just think that maybe he does finish him early, but even in the UFC, if you look David Onama, all of his fight in the UFC, expect the Benitez fight, like you mentioned, all of them go over 1.5. And I think this Romero guy, he's tough. So I think he's gonna, if he get finished, he might get finished late because he does slow down in round 3 sometimes. He pushed through it, but he gets tired in round 3. So I don't like that for him on short notice. But Onama also get tired in round 3, so that can be a good fight. But I think it's gonna be like people are gonna be like, oh, okay, this kid is not bad at all, and maybe still lose. But yeah, I think the price should be closer for sure, though.
Okay, good to know. I'm going to move on to the next fight because, like I said, I didn't do tape for that one. Next fight is Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. Yeah, man. So this is a fight of the old boys. Damon Jackson's coming back very, very, very quickly after getting beat down badly by Chepe Mariscal. That was a potentially career-altering beating, and he's already coming back, which isn't a good look. That's something we need to speak about. That should be a decent talking point here, especially because he's going up against somewhat of a KO artist in Jim Miller. I know people won't like to say that, especially with his grappling being a big part of his game in his career. But at the end of the day, Jim Miller hits very hard, very early. And man, you never know how these fighters are going to come back from beatings like that. We often see fighters come back from losses and beatings different. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it can impact the mental. Sometimes it can even impact the chin. I remember when Bruno Silva went to war with Alex Pereira. Since then, he's getting chinned in a lot of fights. He came back, and Gerald Meerschaert is knocking him all the way over the place. I mean, he got knocked out before he got submitted by Gerald Meerschaert. when he took all punches from Alex Pereira. So, you know, you do see, and that's obviously not the only one, you do see where these fighters take so much damage. I mean, I'll tell you another one right now was Sean O'Malley versus Chris Moutinho. So Chris Moutinho takes all the damage in the world, doesn't get KO'd. Herb Dean stops the fight. Terrible stoppage. Randomly stopped it. Like, that wasn't a KO, right? And then he gets absolutely brutalized by Guido Canetti, one of the oldest fighters in MMA history. One of the oldest fighters on the roster, like 42 years old. Knocks him out in round 1 when Sean O'Malley couldn't do it in 15 minutes. That's not a knockout. So no one correct me. It's not a knockout. So, you know, ref just randomly stepped in. And lucky he did, because I had a fucking bet on Sean O'Malley inside the distance. And I had this ridiculous amount of money, you know, on that. So I'm glad he did, but that wasn't a knockout. So that's someone that had a bet on it had to happen, telling you that it wasn't a knockout. I said it at the time. You know, you go back and look at my tweet. I said, Herb Dean saved me massively. I think it was Herb Dean. You know, in the next fight, he comes out and gets smashed. So, you know, oftentimes the fighter takes all the damage. Somehow he wears it. Next fight, he gets KO'd by someone who doesn't punch half as hard. So let me preface the entire fight by saying that, because it literally could be a KO one. Now, I do think that Jim Miller is someone that Damon Jackson can exploit with his takedown game. He's named the Leech for a reason, because he leeches onto you and doesn't let go. And Jim Miller has been controlled via grappling time and time again. And he's been beat by guys with a similar game plan to Damon Jackson, even in recent times, AK last 3-4 years, because Jim Miller's, you know, fighting career spans 15 years. So 3 years is actually recent for him. Fighters like Joe Selecki, you know, have took him down, controlled him. They're kind of not dangerous on the feet. They have good jiu-jitsu, kind of similar to the Leech, right? So I can see a world in which the Leech just gets him down, takes him down. But I don't know, man. What's the odds on this one, Dravi? Because I think Jim Miller can pull something out here. I think he's got KO upside early. I know he hasn't won a lot of decisions, but he's been close in some of them, right? Like the Alexander Hernandez fight, it wasn't the worst of all time. The Bobby Green fight, he won round 1. I mean, like, I do think there is a world in which he can win a decision, even though he hasn't been known to. I mean, he's kind of round 1 or bust, or round 2 or bust, but I do think there's a chance he can win decision. Submission's always live. I know Leech is good submission, and KO 1 is live. So what's the current odds sitting at?
Yeah, so you have Jackson at -176 and Miller is +151 at the moment on Bet Online.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's a bit tough. I might want to just play KO instead, because I honestly do think the KO can come in round 2. I remember there was a period where everyone thought Jim Miller was round 1 or bust, and then he got like 2, I think it was 2 finishes in round 2. So obviously a lot of people was betting on Jim Miller in round 1 in those spots. I remember it specifically. I don't think I was one of them, but I remember it.
3 finish in round 2 in a row, and then you got a finish in round 1, and then a finish in round 3. That's his last 5 wins.
Yeah, so there you go. It's like, you know, people were playing the round 1 prop because he was winning in round 1 for years and years in a row, and then he gets 3 finishes in round 3 in a row, so round 2 in a row. So I wouldn't go round 1 KO. I would go round 1 or 2. I don't think he finishes Leech in round 3. If the odds are not that much different, I'd also just play KO. So I'm looking at the KO. I'm looking at the ITD. I'm looking at the money line. I'm not looking at Damon. I'll tell you that now. I'm not looking at Damon. You know, I guess he should win via decision, but I ain't looking at him for this spot. What do you think about this one, bro?
Yeah, to be honest, James, I don't have a good read on it. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I do tend to agree with what you're saying, that Miller is live to knock him out. I don't really think he's going to submit him either. And as the fight goes on, it does favor Jackson. But like you said, I'm also concerned about him taking a life beating in his last fight. By the way, this ref that cost me the KO 2-3, I hate him. I don't know who he was, but I mean, Chepe should have finished him. It was kind of crazy. But I mean, the Leech, like you said, I mean, he never really had a good chin. The guy got KOs a couple times, and he got hurt in all of his fights. Even the fight that he won, he kind of get hurt in. So he's moving up a weight class here, which could be good for him and his style. You know, he does have to cut a lot of weight to make 145. He talked about it in interviews that it was a terrible cut for him. But, you know, for this fight, I'm not really worried. I think it might be a good thing because, you know, Miller is not a big 155er. So it could help him in that type of fight. But, yeah, I think that if Miller win, it's probably inside a distance. And if Jackson win, it's probably grinding a decision with a lot of wrestling, grappling, we know that Mitter normally get tired when there's a lot of wrestling, grappling involved, and as the fight goes on, and that's kind of Jackson game. So I understand people playing the early line on Jackson. I think he probably win, like you said, maybe by decision. But at the current price, I think it's getting maybe a bit wide. I think Jackson like maybe 60% is fine because at the end of the day, Mitter is 41 years old. We need to talk about it. He's at the maybe close to retirement at this point, but the guy has very good boxing, good leg kicks. He does have power, and he probably hit harder than guys like. But I'm not sure about it though because Jackson did face guy like Topuria, Danige, and Chepe at 145. They all hit hard, but yeah, I think the way, like you said, if anything, Jim Miller by KO. I think that's how I would go, but I really don't have a strong read on it. I'm not gonna write it down myself personally, but if you want to write it down, I think it's, if anything, it will be my angle as well on the fight.
Okay, so I'll bring up the odds here. I'm going to write Jim Miller down as the money line side. What have we got Jim Miller coming in at? Plus 151, you said?
Yeah, plus 151. The KO is plus 350.
Plus 151, KO plus 350. KO 1? I just want to know the price.
It's not good on Bet Online compared to other books. It's plus 600. It's really,
yeah. I'm not going to parlay that anyway, so actually don't even worry, Drav.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the read on the fight. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. Like, there's a lot of these fights where I'm like, I think the money line side is Miller at plus 151. Do I really want to bet at plus 151? I don't know. Someone mentioned earlier that Miller's coming off a beating as well. He is coming off a beating. I do admit, but let me tell you something now. The Chepe Mariscal beating, that's not comparable to the Bobby Green beating. It's not comparable. It was very, very different. Those are two different definitions of beatings there.
Yeah, and it was in April also. He took some time off. That's a big difference.
Yeah. All right. So the next fight, Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Let me know what you think about this one, bro.
Yeah. Again, we're gonna talk about the current price. I think now is getting close to accurate. I do think Weidman's gonna win it. I think he's gonna win the fight. To me, the thing that I've noticed in that fight, and I think we can all agree that both these fighters are washed or on the decline a lot, especially, Weidman is washed, but Anders on the big decline, in my opinion, especially durability-wise. He doesn't really look as good. He didn't win a round against Martinez Barrio. He got dropped in round one early. He got dropped against Jamie Pickett. That's a bad look. He needs to wrestle in that fight to win, which is concerning. He's getting older himself. I think he's 38, I would say, Ender is, or 37, I'm not sure. But yeah, 37. Okay. So, James, the way I see it is like Weidman being washed compared to Anders being washed. Like, you look at both of their career and what they've done in both of their primes and stuff. It's like one guy, Weidman, is a former champion, beat legends, was one of the best at one point, him being on the decline and wash compared to Anders, who's never been a top 10 guy. I think there's like levels type shit, It's probably going to be close still, but I think both of them being kind of washed on the decline, you have to favor Weidman in these type of fight. They both, like, Weidman normally his problem is against power puncher because his chin is not very good anymore. But Anders, he does have some power, but he's not really knocking anyone out. So, and Anders getting dropped himself too. So it's like, is his chin any better than Weidman? Yeah, with the new glove, maybe it is. We don't really know, right? But and now, like I said, Anders wrestle a lot, and you rely on his wrestling to win fight these days. And I don't see him out wrestling or out grappling Weidman. I don't think it's likely. And maybe he's just gonna be stronger in the clinch, get some control there. But again, he's facing the guy that's fighting at home, and he's a guy that has some advantage when he's fighting there. We just need to admit it, even his last fight. Yeah, he was plus 2xx. Shout out to him, but the eye pokes and shit, it was kind of bad. But he was still up 2-0 to his credit. He looked good, and in that spot, I was looking especially if Anders threw a lot of leg kicks in his tapes, and he doesn't. He's using his ends more often than not, and he's clinching using wrestling. I think Weidman's has the better ends of the two, and also I think you did bet Brad Tavares with me, James, in that fight, but I think it was a terrible matchup for Weidman. Like one of the best takedown defense in the division, a guy that is probably like a better overall striker and more durable and stuff. So, but after rewatching that fight, I mean, Tavares win the fight because of the takedown defense, but also the leg kicks.
That's
He beat
really
up
it.
he hurt him, but at the end of round 2 and in round 3, I mean, Weidman was still coming and he was winning the boxing exchange against Tavares with one leg. So I think he's gonna win the boxing exchange it here, and I don't think Andrew's gonna have the same type of success with leg kicks. And I don't think he's going to have success with wrestling like his past fight. So I do think Weidman as an underdog makes sense. I think he's the side for sure. And again, the guy fighting at home, the fight might go the distance. Every time he's going to do something, the crowd's going to go crazy. So just something to consider also in the betting angle, especially when the line is close.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that he was 0-3 at MSG. Is that true, JB? I have to do some fact check on that one. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I just
Weidman or Enders?
Yeah, Weidman. He must be talking about Weidman, no?
I mean, Weidman fought last fight. He fought at wait a minute.
Well, Bruno Silva, was that at MSG?
No, I don't think it was actually. It was in New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, okay. So he must be 0-3 at MSG, which is kind of crazy. I never knew that. But yeah, that's interesting.
You're right. I didn't know that either.
But has he been knocked out in all 3 of those? That would be interesting to see, because obviously you can't win if you get knocked out. But if you go to the judges' scorecards, then that's when the home crowd kind of plays into your favor. Not so much when you get knocked out. Although it can spur you on, like you can still win inside the distance, obviously. So that is an interesting point, though. My breakdown is it's not like a very in-depth one, to be honest, bro. Like at the end of the day, I think both guys have shown that they are past their prime. So anytime you get involved with a matchup where 2 guys are past their prime, it's a little bit risky because you never really know how they're going to perform. Like, okay, maybe at the moment it looks like Weidman's more washed than Anders, but what about if Anders looks his worst ever here? And Weidman kind of just stays at where he was last fight, and then that means Anders has dropped down. Or what? Or if someone else says, like, who do you think's more washed, Anders or Weidman?
Oh, I'm muted. My bad. To be honest, 1 year ago I would say Weidman for sure, but at this point I think maybe Weidman is a bit more washed. But like I said earlier, I think him being more washed compared to Anders being on the big decline, I still do favor Weidman, man. I mean,
because he's coming up from a much better point anyway, right?
Yeah.
So like even if he's washed, he's probably still a bit better than Anders.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see. I mean, Anders never being in top 10 guys ever, and Weidman's a former champ. So yeah, and the big thing about Weidman is like his chin's worse. He gets knocked out and stuff. But the fight he doesn't get knocked out in, James, he's 6-1 to the decision. You know what Anders' record is in decision? It's 6-6. So yeah. And I don't think he's gonna knock him out here. So yeah, I do like Weidman to win.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, with those washed things, like you just proved my point right there. Like 1 year ago, you're saying Weidman's washed. Now you're saying Anders is maybe a little bit worse. Like it might just turn out that now Weidman performs the worst he's ever performed now. Because like you're not going to keep on. They're just going to keep on getting washed. Like once you're on the decline, you don't come back up. Like once you're on the decline, you're on the decline forever. And you might stay on a similar decline for 3 fights. And then the next fight you might look 10 years worse. Like it really happens like that in MMA. So what I'm trying to say is anytime you get involved in a fight like this, you can't really rely on past tapes as much as you can when it comes to the, like a title fight or something like that, outside of John Jones Stipe, because they're both washed as well, which is kind of funny. Probably the oldest fight in title fight history. But yeah, like for the most part, those title fights and higher level fights, when fighters are not washed, you can rely on tape a lot more than you can in this fight, for example. How I see the fight breaking down is very close. I think Pick'em potentially accurate. I will give a little bit more credence to Anders than you did, though, because I do think that Chris's body is just like failing him now. Like Chris has had these knee surgeries. You know, he talks heavily about having, like, he's had all these knee surgeries. His leg, let's not forget, he snapped his leg awfully not too long ago, right? That was nothing to do with the chin narrative. He had the worst chin ever, right? Apparently, his chin was completely gone, right? So his chin's gone. Then he fought Uriah Hall and his leg went randomly, right? And then he fought Brad Tavares and his legs went again completely. He's also had knee surgeries and I believe shoulder surgeries. I mean, the guy's mental is fully there. He still fully wants to be in there. He thinks he can be a champion, which is kind of hilarious. I remember a couple of fights ago, he was talking about fighting Izzy, which is really, really, you know, admirable, but also funny, but also delusional. But you have to be delusional, you know, in this game, which is what a lot of people misunderstand. You know, take the piss out of people when they say stuff like that, but you have to have delusion in this game. And Chris Weidman became a champion, oftentimes based on delusion. He thought he could knock out Anderson Silva. He was delusional then, wasn't he? But then he did it. So, you know, but getting back to my original point is that his body is breaking down. Now, I know Anders hasn't looked good, but it's not like his body's just snapping on him every which way, which is something you have to take into account, man. Like, he could just go out there and, like, he gets a couple of leg kicks and then his leg's done, or he gets chinned once and he's dropped badly, or you know, gets punched and his eye pops open. Like, these things have happened to Weidman multiple times throughout his recent career. Tavares, Uriah, when he was getting knocked out. And they definitely could happen again. Anders is strong, physical, big, powerful. He hits very hard. I could imagine him getting Chris up against the cage and kneeing him in the knees and it fucking up his legs and stuff like that. So I think this is a volatile fight. I think both fighters can hurt each other. You know, something I like in this fight, other than the money lines, is the under 2.5 rounds. Now, you know, both fighters' durability is dropping down heavily in the last few fights, and the under 2.5 rounds is a big plus money. And I do think obviously this fight could be a little bit boring if they're kind of just playing on the outside. But Chris Weidman pushes forward, man. Chris Weidman does push forward. He kind of brings the fight. And Eric Anders, he doesn't shy away from a fight, right? He just doesn't. He doesn't really. There's not been too many fights where he's just shying away. He doesn't really know how to. He's not skillful enough to shy away from a fight. I feel like this could be a little bit of a firefight, man, where they're rocking each other a little bit. I do think some cage control and clinching and maybe even wrestling will maybe kill the under. But in terms of I think striking-wise, they're both kind of bad and volatile to be hurt. And I also think if Chris Weidman gets on top of Eric Anders, he could go to work heavily and smash him on the ground. So, you know, I think that there's some good chance for both fighters to win inside the distance on this one. And I mean, coming back at a plus 165 price tag, I don't know what it is on Bet Online, plus 180 or something. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's plus 175 on Bet Online.
Yeah, so I'm just going to leave you with that, boys. I'm not saying like it's a lock or anything. I just feel like if there's value on the fight, I prefer to take a total than a money line. So I'm gonna write that down myself now. Plus 175 for the under 2.5 rounds. I guess I just feel like it should be a little bit closer to the pick'em range based on how washed both fighters are, based on how often both fighters have been hurt. And yeah, I guess just based on the stylistics of the matchup, the striking, we could see someone hurt in this matchup. So what do you want to add do you want to add anything here?
I'm gonna pass on it, to be honest. Like, I play plus 135. I'm not gonna write down minus 105. I think now the line is correct, no value on it. So if anything, your under is probably the way to go. Like you said, good points on it. I think it's a decent look. Also, it could look like big value on the under at the end. Like, you know, Weidman has some submission upside, Anders KO upside, and even Weidman has some KO upside considering Anders' chin's going. So. Yeah,
and especially like I could imagine Weidman. Like, I think Weidman has decent power, man. Like,
yeah, he does.
Honestly, I know, like he's not really a knockout artist, but he was wobbling Brad Tavares a little bit. Like, if you actually do swing with him, then you know he's got these. He's a strong, fucking stocky New York wrestler. Like, them motherfuckers always got some type of power in their backhand. So yeah, I think that's maybe a way to look at it. Also, I think he's got KO upside from top position, you know, not just submission. I honestly think he can get on top and potentially KO Anders. I remember that Omari Akhmedov fight, you know, he almost got a KO from top position there. He's done it before in his career. Elbows from top position. That 12-6 elbows are legal now. He's such a veteran of the game. I'm sure he's going to be throwing them in if he ever gets on top. So yeah, it's not too bad, boys. I'm not saying it's the lock of the century. I don't even know if I'm going to play it outright. But when you're fishing for value, sometimes you have to roll the dice and play some plus money. So we'll just leave the under 2.5 rounds there, and we will move on just after I have a look at some of the props, because submission at plus 1,000 for Chris Weidman, I think it's a little bit wide, boys. I think it's a little bit wide. You know, I can see a head and arm or something like that, even if I'm not predicting it. But I won't add it. I'm not parlaying it. We'll move on to the next fight of the night. I'll try and be a little bit quicker with some of these breakdowns because the stream's going on long. But at the end of the day, boys, we're trying to give you as much information as possible. And, you know, again, shout out to Dravi for coming in last minute, came in as a super sub. I know he's delivering a lot of value to the people right now. So go and follow Dravi on his Twitter account. I think the Twitter account is going to be at DRAVHY_. And yeah, definitely show him some love for coming and giving this free information to you. So next fight will go on when it wants to pop up on the screen is Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGhee. Now, boys, I'm going to pass this one over to Dravi because me and him were speaking in the DMs about this one, and I know he has a side on this one. Me personally, I'm avoiding the fight. I ain't got too much to say, so there's no point in listening to me ramble on about this fight because I ain't got too much to say about it, boys. I think it's a close fight.
I think James just lagged out. I'll continue then. So yeah, I do like the McGhee side here. I think, you know, at minus 130, I got him. I just think that there's a big difference in power, and we've seen Martinez get hurt in fights, you know, before. It does happen a lot. Davey Grant fight, for example, but even earlier in his career, this is a guy that get hurt a lot. So I'm worried about the leg kicks because Martinez does have very good leg kicks, as we know, and he can kick both legs. But I like the fact that McGhee is switching stances a lot and he's pressuring all the time. So him pressuring and getting in the pocket boxing with Martinez, I think it's going to be a big problem for him because Martinez, he's very good at distance, right? But when someone's pressuring him and getting in the inside, sometimes he can get hurt, he can get clipped, and we've seen it happen like a lot of times. So why couldn't it happen again here? You know, I think that's very likely to happen. And obviously, that's a big step up for Marcus McGhee. You know, you went for Gaston Bolanos to Jonathan Martinez, who's ranked. So that's a big step up for him. And that's a step down for a guy. Oh, he's back.
Come on, carry on, bro. I was going to pass it over to you anyway, so perfect.
Yeah, it's all good. Yes, so that's a big step up for Marcus McGhee. That's what I was saying. You know, going for Bolanos to Martinez, but I think the guy is legit. I think he's the goods. You know, he looks to be on every supplement possible, all the vitamins, everything. He's in very good shape. And I like the fact that he's training at the MMA lab with all these guys, you know, Mario Batista, Sean O'Malley, Carter Phillips. That's a very good gym for bantamweight, right? And we need to mention Martinez for this fight, since last fight, he was a Factory X guy, and he's not with these guys anymore. He trained with himself. He's his own coach, and he has his own gym, which is a big problem for a preparation for a fight. I've looked on his Instagram and stuff, and he's training with guys like, you know, TJ Brown for preparing for Marcus McGhee. I don't think it's the best look of all time, you know, being your own coach, training with lower level guys, amateurs and stuff. I don't like that. And Marcus McGhee is with good bodies, good preparation at the MMA lab. And yeah, I think the guy's for real. I think he's the goods. And of course, there's a world where I can look dumb because obviously Martinez, the underdog, when he has more experience, he's younger, fought better guys. But I really think the ceiling of McGhee's higher. Like I said, I think his boxing in the pocket is going to be a problem. I think his grappling is very sneaky as well. And I think he has the better chin of the two, the big power. And I think he's going to do what Martinez struggled with, is to get in the inside, throw a big shot, and hurt Martinez potentially. And the fact that McGhee switched tenses and pressure a lot, I think it's going to maybe throw Martinez off. And that's what you need to beat him. Because if you just stay at distance, trying to, you know, strike with him, you know, outpoint him, that's not going to work. You're just going to beat your legs. And McGhee does a good job more often than not at checking leg kicks and countering leg kicks. And the guy is nasty with the straight shot down the middle. I like his boxing. And yeah, I just think that he's faster, more power. Faster, I'm not too sure. I think Martinez is very fast. And, I think Martinez is a good fighter, to be honest. Like, good knees, good boxing himself. He's fast. But I just think that McGhee is more durable. I think he has big power. And, Martinez coming back after a loss against a legend needs to get back on track. And you have McGhee he needs to win here. He's 34. That the UFC is giving him big opportunity to the ranking. And yeah, I like where his head's at. So I think he's gonna get it done. I think he's the more likely of the two to finish the fight. There's a concern about the cardio because he only went into a round 3 one time, but I have no reasons to believe this guy's gasser, to be honest. Like he go all in, and in round 2, mid round 2, late round 2, even on original, he looks very good cardio wise, So I don't think he's gonna gas out. And I think Martinez path is probably a close decision. But I think McGhee is more likely to finish. And I think even if he go the distance, he's still winning the fight.
Yeah. Makes sense, bro. Like I said at the start, I think I got cut off, boys. But what I was going to say is, unfortunately, I might have to bore you on this one because I just don't have a strong take. I think it's a close fight. I think Marcus McGhee taking a big step up in competition means it's kind of hard to judge him and how good he actually will be at this level. He seems like the real deal to me. He does seem like he can compete at this level. But when you look at the market, there might be some recency bias baked into Marcus McGhee's run. And the thing is, Marcus McGhee has fought such bad competition, man. I mean, the best fighter he fought subbed him. Like that's probably the best fighter he fought, Nascimento. And Nascimento ain't even that good, man. But the thing is, he is a back take specialist. He is a rear naked choke specialist. He is a jiu-jitsu specialist. So, like Jonathan ain't going to get him down and sub him, obviously, right? Like that's not his game at all. If anyone's getting takedowns, it'll probably be McGhee. So, yeah, it's just tough, man, because like Marcus just has never fought this type of level of competition. It might turn out that he, comes in here and he proves everyone that he is, but at a favorite price tag, where you have to pay more money to win less back, as a favorite. Me personally, I prefer to pass on it. I think it will come down to if he can navigate the leg kicks, because obviously Martinez, he ain't only got leg kicks. He's got a beautiful knee up the middle. He's got really good footwork, and he's very good in the clinch. It's not only leg kicks, but I do think that the fight will come down to whether he can navigate the leg kicks or not, because if he can, and he's in close range, I think that McGhee's the better boxer here for sure. And we have seen time and time again Jonathan Martinez's chin get cracked. I know that he hasn't been knocked out that many times, but I feel like, I don't want to say it's a knockout waiting to happen, but I feel like he's going to get knocked out a few more times before he ends his career.
I mean, Jose Aldo knocked him out basically, but he decided not to finish him.
Yeah, and also I can't remember the fight it was, but he got wobbled. Did Saeed hurt him? I think was it Saeed? Or there's another fight. It might have been the Saeed fight that he got wobbled badly and he just ended up surviving. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't recall him getting hurt in the Saeed fight, but he got hurt in a lot of fights. He got hurt against Perez. He got dropped early, end of round 1, or I think it was end of round 1.
I think that's what I was. Yeah, I think that's what I'm talking about. Obviously, David Grant knocked him out. That was a back and forth fight. He kind of was bossing that fight until he got knocked out. But David Grant, again, is good with the switch stances, is good with the boxing, something that McGhee may be able to, implement a little bit here. So, yeah, I've seen Martinez hurt quite a few times, but I just don't know if McGhee's gonna do it. If he wins this is a big step up in competition. He's proven himself massively, and he's going to go on to do big things in the sport because he doesn't really have a big weakness in his game, to be honest. So, yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting fight. I wish you all the luck on it. Personally, I'm passing. So we'll write down the plus EV legs. So I'm guessing you're going to write down the McGhee money line. I don't know if it's moved anything since you liked it, but
yeah, it's -138. I'll still take it. I got -130, but yeah, -138. I still like it.
And in terms of the over and unders or the KO or anything else you like?
It's a pass for me, to be honest, because considering the step up for McGhee, I think he could go over potentially. But him knocking him out will not surprise me either. So I think it's close to over under, and the lines are not like it's not like the under was big plus money.
Yeah, and like you said, man, if Martinez is winning, probably it will be a decision. And it's always good to target people who can win inside the distance as well as decision. And you're always leaving yourself a little bit dry when you think your fighter can only win by decision. So, yeah, obviously Martinez could probably head kick him or maybe he just kicks his leg off. But more than likely, we've got McGhee with the finishing upside. So if you play the under and then Martinez kicks him to a decision, you'll be annoyed. So, yeah, bro, I'm going to pass on everything, but happy for you to write down the McGhee money line there. Next fight, first fight on the main card, Ruffy versus Llontop. I'll be quick on this one. I think the odds are crazy. I don't mind anyone taking a shot on Llontop. You know, I've seen Ruffy completely obliterated on the regional scene. Brutal knockout, finished brutally with punches in close distance by Manuel Souza. So I don't know why they're treating this guy like Jesus Christ himself. It doesn't really make sense. Well, it does. He went viral after a scissor sweep against Jamie Mullarkey, someone I bet him against. I also bet on him in his Dana White's Contender Series matchup. So, you know, I've done my job on Mauricio Ruffy. There's no need for me to get involved in this one. Llontop's a tough guy. Obviously, he's been hurt, but I don't think he's ever been knocked out. I haven't seen him be knocked out. He might have been knocked out in the regional scene.
No, he never got knocked out.
Yeah, he never got knocked out. So, you know, obviously it doesn't mean he won't get knocked out in this one. I mean, the knockout is favored. Ruffy's minus 1,000, but he's shown his toughness time and time again. He's been wobbled, though. He's been dropped. But he's shown his toughness time and time again. So, yeah, is it out of the realm of possibility that Llontop makes this fight close? Is it out of the realm of possibility that, you know, Llontop is just putting too much volume on Ruffy and Ruffy can't get his game going? No, of course not. This Ruffy is lower volume than Llontop. Llontop's going to put the volume on him. This fight could be close, man. I'm not going to lie. If anything, I just fade all the narratives in this spot. Although I do think Llontop can crack him. I honestly do think he can hurt him. But I also think Ruffy can hurt him. So I do think the under 1.5, like, it is viable. And I don't even think it's favored. So, you know, I do like plus money on that. But could you tell me the totals and what the prices are?
It's over 1.5, minus 175, and the under 1.5 is plus 145.
What's the GTD?
The GTD is plus 165 and doesn't go the distance, minus 205.
Yeah, so it's funny because I'd actually play plus money. Like, I in my opinion, I just want to fade the narrative on this fight, right? And when I say the narrative, I just mean the market. So the market is saying that it's going to end inside the distance. So I'd rather play GTD plus money, right? Because I think it could be a close fight. The market is saying that it's going to go over 1.5 rounds. So I'd rather play under 1.5 rounds. So it might sound counterproductive that I'm saying under 1.5 rounds and GTD at the sides. But the explanation is simple. I'm fading the market both at plus money. Whatever they think is going to happen, I'm disagreeing. Because I can see either happening. I can honestly see both. So if you're giving me plus money, I'm calling it fairly 50-50. And then obviously fading the market on Ruffy. I think Llontop's the side at plus 600. So yeah, that's my breakdown. Obviously, I ain't going to sit here and be like, Ruffy should win. You know, Ruffy's going to win. He's better. Like, we know that. He's minus 1,000. This is a betting show. It's called a lucrative MMA betting show. People get annoyed when you speak about the betting stuff and like, oh yeah, but like, who do you think is going to win? I don't care. This is not the lucrative MMA show. This is the lucrative MMA betting show. Okay? I am a sports bettor. I ain't a fucking analyst. This guy minus 1,000 is stupid. So yeah, fuck all of that shit. I don't know if I'm going to bet it. Also, I have to be honest with you. You know, I don't know personally if I'm going to bet it. Half a unit shot is completely fine with me, and I probably will end up on a half unit one. Maybe. That's it, Trav. I'm just going to stop because I'm just ranting now. So what do you think about the fight?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I was on the exact same bets Dana White Contender Series fight for Ruffy and Mullarkey. And let's not forget the price we got there, James. I have Ruffy plus 210 on Dana White Contender Series, and I had him at minus 125 against Jamie Mullarkey. So we both smashed the line there, did our job, and the market and people were not really agreeing with us back then. And now they're saying he's minus 1,000, like you said. So obviously there's recency bias on it, but also they think that there's fighting nerds taxes at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's also what's happening. And you have Llontop, who's 0-2 in the UFC, and Ruffy undefeated in the UFC, only in one fight, but yes, I recency bias and the fighting nerds stuff. So I think that's why he's a big favorite. But I also don't agree with the line, like you said, he can be low volume. Even though I like him, I like his style overall. He's not a guy that's really rivalable at a big price tag like that. Llontop is durable, like you said. He's gonna fight for your money if you bet him. That's for sure. I don't really project any grappling upside, really. So with that being said, I mean, you have Llontop, who's never been KO. We've seen Ruffy put down before, and Llontop's gonna go for it. He's gonna throw a lot of volume, but I think Ruffy's such a sniper, and he has more power. I think he's gonna be able to get a KO somewhere sometimes, but how and when, I don't really know. And I'm just the 600, like you said, it's definitely value on it, but I'm not really interested in the fight overall, to be honest. I'm just going to pass on it myself. But, the plus 600, how wrong can you be,
Yeah, I also think it's interesting that they got Mauricio Ruffy, who has only ever won inside the distance, never won a decision, never been to decision. Even his loss come inside the distance. I find it very interesting that the over 1.5 is, minus 175. That's a big price tag for an over, right? And then I also find it interesting that the under, or the doesn't go to decision, is only minus 200.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that it should be minus 400. I know Llontop's never been KO'd, but I'm sure Ruffy's probably finished guys that have never been KO'd before. I mean, I don't know, but go back and look at it. Like, Llontop's not this big step up in competition. I mean, that guy on the Contender Series is probably better than Llontop, or, at least poses more problems than him, especially
he never got KO'd before, the guy on Contender Series.
Yeah, there you go, So, like, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird that, these guys minus 1,000. He's only ever won inside the distance, never been to a decision, and it's only minus 200 to not go to decision. Seems a bit weird there. Like, they're saying that he's going to win they're saying he's going to win late. But, I mean, how often... It's hard to pick a round 2 or 3 finish. We know that. We bet those props, right? It's not easy. We bet on Gillian Robinson 2-3 last week, and that seemed like an obvious spot, and it didn't cash. So, yeah, I don't know. It just seems something fishy about this fight. Doesn't mean that Llontop's going to fucking win the fight, boys. But guess just trying to scare you away from betting Ruffy at minus 1,000. Guess just trying to speak about the overall market. Just trying to speak about the macro perspective on hype and stuff like that. I think I'm going to end up having a half a unit shot on James Llontop to win, massive amount of ROI there, 3 units. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, boys. But that might be a spot for me. Ruffy has cashed me enough tickets. I don't care about losing half unit shot on him. He's already won me a lot of money. So I'll write down James Llontop, but I ain't going to fucking parlay that shit. So there's not even no point in me writing it down, honestly. I'm just going to pass. And we'll move on to the next fight. Karine Silva versus Viviane Araujo. So, yeah, I think Karine Silva's going to get the win here. She seems to have... I don't know if she's improving fight to fight, or I just didn't really rate her as much back in the day. It could be that. So it's one of the two, because I feel like I definitely think she's better now than I used to think, right? So maybe I was just wrong back in the day, and I just didn't think she was that good. But whatever it is, she's either improving or looks better these days. She can get takedowns. She's quite physically strong, and she's good at getting the back. She's good at wasting time. Especially when she's on bottom, she's obviously hunting submissions. But when she's on top, she's quite smart at, maintaining position as well as looking for submissions. I feel like she blends it quite well. Some people are only ever looking for submissions. Some people are only ever trying to keep position. I think she blends it quite well. At least against Lipski, she blended it well. She didn't let Lipski get back to her feet trying to chase dumb submissions or anything like that. I mean, I think once she did it in the fight, but outside of that, she, controlled her quite well. Obviously, Lipski is not very good on the ground at all. We just cashed a big ticket on Jasmine Jasudavicius against her. Viviane Araujo holds a little bit better weight in that regard. But obviously, Araujo is a bit more of a gasser, in my opinion. I feel like if this fight was 3 or 4 years ago, it should be lined a lot closer. But at this point in time, I do think Karine Silva is a bit bit more of an upwards trajectory. I think she's way more likely to win inside the distance. I think she's more likely to hurt Vivian on the feet. Vivian's been hurt on the feet multiple times, which is not good in that weight class, against someone who actually hurts quite a few girls on the feet, which is also unlikely in that weight class. So we've got a girl who, I don't think she's good on the feet, but she's got power, which is not common for the weight class. And then we've got Araujo, who's been hurt on the feet multiple times, which again is not common for the weight class. It's not really a good mix. So on the feet, although Vivi might technically be a bit better, pumping out some good volume, I think that she's way more likely to get hurt on the feet and way more likely to get subbed on the ground, and probably even to kind of like control each other. And I'd say Karine Silva probably has a bit better gas tank, and she's also on an upwards trajectory. So I definitely think you make her a favorite in this spot. I think you make her, I think she wins the fight. But, if she doesn't get a finish, then the fight could be like a 29-28 type of fight. So there's no way I'd play Karine at the big favorite price, even though I kind of understand it based on, what I just said. I would never play it because a lot of that is to do with, what did I just say? The power, the chin, which is very hard to predict a knockdown or a knockout in this weight class, even with that dynamic, right? So in my opinion, the price tag should be based on that, which is hard to predict. And also submissions, which again is a little bit hard to predict. I mean, Araujo never been submitted. I don't think she's ever been finished. I mean, again, maybe back in the day on some fight that I didn't watch, but even though she has almost been finished in the UFC, but never been finished, never been submitted. Again, it's quite hard to predict the submission there. And so if those things don't happen, then it should be a closer fight. So I would never play Karine Silva at the big price tag, although I kind of understand it to some degree. So yeah, just a pass fight for me. There's nothing I want to get involved in here. I can't trust Araujo to stay away from the submissions or being hurt on the feet, but I can't trust Karine to cover minus 250, 300 if she's not getting those moments, which are kind of hard to predict. So yeah, pass fight for me, but I'm definitely picking Karine Silva to get it done, and I even think she can get it done inside the distance. What about you, Drove?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I mean, career trajectories and there's a big difference here, like you mentioned. You have Araujo, who's 38, been in the UFC for years, and you have Silva, who's now ranked, who's 30 years old, who's kind of entering her prime, and I have to argue that she's hungry at this point, and she wants it more probably, and the fade on Silva will come. I've lost some money, try to fade her in the past. I'm done for now. But I think to fade her, you need to be very durable and have very good cardio and good takedown defense. I don't think Araujo has very good cardio.
Yeah.
She's durable, but like you said, James, I mean, she got hurt and dropped by Andrea Lee back in the day, right? She got hurt.
Not even that long ago.
No, it was 2022. It was 2 years ago. And we know that Lee is washed now, so that's concerning. Obviously, she got dropped badly in the first round. She got hurt against Ribas. She got hurt against Silva. She get hurt in a lot of these fights, And it's not gonna get any better when you're gonna be 38 years old now. So Silva, like you said, not the best striker, but she does hit hard. She can knock girls out. Moros has a better chin than Araujo, and she still knocked her down. And I don't like her gas tank. Obviously, Silva, she slowed down in round 3, but so does Araujo, So they both slow down in round 3, and Silva normally can get 5 downs. Araujo, good grappler, should be JJ black belt. She's not going to be easy to finish, like you said. But I think a club and sub is on the table here. I think we can see Silva hurting Araujo, like we've seen her getting hurt a lot of times. And what she do when she get hurt, she's trying to shoot takedowns, trying to clinch. But sometimes she put her head in bad position. And I think a girl like Silva, who has a nasty guillotine, good front choke, she can take advantage of that and submit her. And if she get on top, obviously she's live for submission as well. So I favor him. I favor her for a submission, for a KO, and I also favor her, my bad, for a decision. So I think Araujo could potentially win, but I mean, she doesn't have a finish in the UFC. I don't think so. So I don't think she finished the fight. I think all the finishing upside on the Silva side. I think her career trajectory is better. And I think she's more durable. But they're both still down, so maybe that's a concern. But I do agree with her being a big favorite. I think it's justified. I know Araujo is a popular dog this week. I think the price is fine on Silva personally. More likely to finish, much younger, better chin, uh, more power. Also, I think she's live to knock her down. Like I said, I think she's live to win big moments in the fight, and I think she can get takedowns. What I'm worried about, James, is if Araujo get takedowns and get on top, I think that Silva could potentially lose minutes off her back. That's my concerns. But um, if Silva take her down, Araujo's not the greatest of bottom either. So yeah, overall, I think Silva's the side here. And as far as the bet goes, I think the Silva inside a distance and the under 2.5 is like the same price. So I'll go with the under 2.5 at plus 200.
Okay, and can you tell me the submission line for Silva? I feel like even if she knocks her down with punches, somehow it's just going to be a sub. So
I agree with you. It's plus 325.
yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're giving the under at plus 200, and then they know that 90% of the equity on the under is the submission. So Silva submission plus 320, you said?
325.
225.
325.
Oh, okay. 325, and then the under 2.5 is plus 200. Yeah, I agree with both of those. I'll leave them there. Like I said, personally, can't say that the Silva minus 300 or whatever is plus EV.
No, it's not.
I'll say it's about accurate. Well, it's not plus 300. Was it plus 250, 60, 270?
On what?
On Bet Online, the Silva money line?
Money line is minus 280. I don't think there's value on it.
No.
I think it's kind of, minus 250, minus 300.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where she should be. But yeah.
Yeah.
There's a concern if she gets taken down and lose minutes off her back, But yeah, I think she has big upside in the fight.
Yeah, it's like she either gets taken down and loses minutes, like trying to play guard or get some type of submission, or they just strike for 15, which I don't see happening. These girls, all their fights go to grappling, and you have to just look at the historics here. But if they do strike, yeah, maybe like Silva, Araujo can like outpoint her or something. But like we said, man, if it's 15 minutes, I can't trust her not to get hurt. And I also just see it so unlikely just being a striking contest for 15 that probably will go into the grappling. So yeah, probably would come down to. But, just looking at Araujo's path to victory, it's kind of like a tepid kickboxing affair where she's better technically and she doesn't get hurt, or maybe she gets some grappling top time.
Yeah.
Next fight is Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig. Are you full sending it on Paul Craig submission round 1 or what?
No, mate. I'm just passing on this one. I think Bo's gonna win. Obviously, not a hot take. How does he win though? It's like I think obviously we could go like Bo Nickal decision. Like I'm looking the odds on your screen.
Woo!
We could go that road just because he could hurt Paul Craig on the feet. He could potentially ground and pound him, but I don't really think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna submit him. I don't really think so. And he needs to be careful with Paul Craig's on bottom, just because he's very dangerous. So and Bo's a smart guy, so I have to believe that he's gonna take his time and he has better cardio. So my prediction is gonna be him to knock Paul Craig out at some point in the fight. But I do think that the fight extend. Maybe KO 2-3 can be interesting also. But yeah, he could grind a decision here also. I think that's possible. But I don't have a strong read on it. Like I think if anything, I would play a small bet on Bo Nickal decision.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, the odds are crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a guy with a wrestling background against, a BJJ guy. So why not could he, time him and just avoid the guard of Paul Craig? That's possible.
Definitely possible. The over 1.5, that hit last fight against Cody. Like I would let's say we didn't see the Cody Brundage fight, and I know it's hard to say this, Drav, but because we have seen it, right? So, but like if just try to answer. If we didn't see the Cody Brundage fight, and I said, what fight is more likely to go over 1.5 rounds? The Paul Craig versus Bo Nickal or Brundage versus Bo Nickal? What would you say?
Paul Craig.
Yeah, I think I would probably say Paul Craig as well. And obviously, Paul Craig brings a lot of volatility himself, right? But so does Brundage. Brundage is a bit of a nutter as well. I mean, Brundage's fights are always chaos for the most part. And, I think it's so much more likely that Brundage gets out-wrestled and then submitted than it is Paul Craig gets submitted. I think he's way trickier. He'll be able to defend off the submissions for longer. And at the end of the day, that did go over last time.
Yeah,
we're thinking this fight should go over like more likely than that fight. Doesn't always play out in the specific iteration, but this plus 155 on a bet that just hit in his last fight on his first step up in competition, he happens to go over 1.5 rounds. That's not surprise, right? As soon as he gets a step up, he goes over 1.5. Everyone gets burned on that under 1.5. I'm sure everyone was parlaying that at minus 300, and now. It's like, again, a massively, massively juiced under where the guy is way more trickier in guard and he probably can last for longer. I say all that and his bro's probably going to land the overhand right for Trump, just like JB is saying. And it's definitely possible. I mean, the guy's got no chin at all. I played Kai Bahayo via KO, but that almost went over 1.5 rounds. And I think Kaio has way better striking than Bo Nickal. I also just thought Bo Nickal versus Kyle Bahia will be a fucking sick fight, man. That would be a really good fight. They should make that after this fight. I don't know how that one would go. I mean, Kyle gets a bit tired, but yeah, that's a great fight. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like the over 1.5 is being a little bit priced too much now. And obviously, you are taking a bit of a guess because Paul Craig brings so much volatility, and we still don't know about Bo Nickal yet, right? We don't really know much about him, so it's still kind of guessing. But yeah, I don't mind a Bo Nickal decision. Might just be a better play than the over 1.5, because over 1.5 you get plus 155. Decision you get plus 900. I mean, it's way more enticing. And if it goes over 1.5, the decision instantly becomes live.
I agree with that. Yeah, no doubt.
But Bo's one of them ones where, like you already said, KO 2-3 is definitely possible. It's because Bo's.
There's a lot of ways it could go. That's why I think it's so tricky.
Yeah, it's obvious, right? Our breakdown is just showing that we don't know what the fuck's going to happen, boys. So, we're trying to break this down, but it's obvious. We know Bo's going to win, or we're very confident Bo's going to win. We don't know how the fuck he's going to do it. The Trump... Look at the Trump narrative. This is funny. Everyone's going mad about Trump. Politics in the chat. All right, boys, everyone in the chat here, if you're a Trump fan, type 1. And if you're a Kamala fan, type 2. And then argue with the people who disagree with you. Because that's what you Americans do. You man are crazy, bro. Look, bro, relax. Don't make it about politics. No, make it about politics. I want to see the Americans go mad in the chat. It's one of my favorite things. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. All the Trump fans coming in. I want to see the Kamala fans. Come on, don't be scared. I know you man got beat, but you got to back your girl, Anyway, back to it. 2, she's actually based. Everyone call Tanner Austin an idiot. Come on. How are you letting him talk about your boy Trump like that? All right, but yeah, not to get too crazy. I obviously do think Bo Nickal's going to win. I think the decision is probably some value on that one. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I don't think we're going to parlay Bo Nickal by decision, though. So should we just leave it?
Yeah, I think so.
You're not going to parlay the over 1.5, right?
No.
All right, I'll leave it. So co-main event, boys, we're almost there. The stream wasn't too long. But yeah, man, let's get straight into the fight. Obviously, this is a rematch of a really, really fun fight. That was a great fight between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira last time out. I actually bet on Michael Chandler in that fight. Post-fight, it seemed 50-50 fight to me. Obviously, now looking back at it after I've seen both of them perform after that fight, I don't think it is. It's all good, bro. Come on. I was only joking. I don't think it is a good bet at plus 110 because it's like Charles Oliveira has way more ways to win that fight. He's got better cardio. He can win it in round 3, 4, 5. That was obviously a 5-round fight, just like it is here. You know, by the way, this is a 5-round fight, even though it's not for the title. So, yeah, I just think Charles Oliveira is the better all-round fighter. More submission upside, more KO upside, better cardio, more decision upside. I think Charles definitely should be the minus 200, minus 250 favorite or something like that. But in that iteration, it looked 50-50, and I felt like I had a good bet. So, you know, it's always interesting, and this is more about gambling, boys. It's always interesting to understand that even post-fight, even if you think you have a good bet, it might not be a good bet. It was a good bet in that time, and obviously you can be pissed off about that, but try not to get hung up so much on the specific iterations, because obviously, you know, things can play out very differently. You know, when it's a 15-minute fight decision and it's back and forth, it's kind of clear that it's a good fight. Renat Fakhreddinov versus Carlos Leal. I mean, I don't care. Like, there's no way Carlos Leal wasn't a good bet. But when it's like a finish early and both of them knocked down, like, you have to pump your brakes a little bit. So, like I was saying, you know, I do think Charles Oliveira is the side in that fight quite big, a lot bigger than I thought post-fight. And I still think that to this day. So, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be playing Chandler here at big underdog prices. In my opinion, just taking KO in round 1 or round 2, I think it's a better way to play him. You have to risk less. You can potentially win more because this guy ain't winning the decision here. I don't think he's winning in round 4 or round 5. I expect Charles to be putting the pace on him, and I don't think Michael's body can hold up that long, whereas I do think Charles's can. We'll speak about career trajectories and mindset. Obviously, Michael Chandler's been away for a while, looking great in physical shape, but obviously he's been away for a while. But, you know, Charles Oliveira has won the title. He's coming back from losing again against Arman Sarukian, another up-and-coming. So, you know, he's knocked down a place again. He's been at the top. Now he's not. Does that play into your mindset? Michael Chandler still knows that. Michael Chandler knows that if he gets a win here, he might be fighting for the fucking title. That is a massive, massive motivation for Michael Chandler. And, you know, you just need to listen to Michael Chandler to, you know that he's motivated. And it's always hard to pick motivation, but I do think, if anything, Charles Oliveira being at the top of the castle coming down, it's not gonna help him. So I think that Charles Holivaro is, you know, the side here. I don't know if Holivaro is going to win, though, you know, because Michael Chandler can win in KO in round 1. But, yeah, man, I think Chandler KO round 1 and KO 2 is good, but Holivaros is definitely going to win, in my opinion. So what about you, bro? You picking Holivaros or Michael Chandler this weekend?
I'm kind of going back and forth on this one. I did text you about it a couple days ago. And the more yeah, you're just trolling there, right? I saw the tweet you posted. Yeah, so whoever wins this, it's gonna be a banger for the time it lasts. Let me tell you that, man. I mean, the first fight lasted like 6 minutes, but I watched it, I think, 3 times this week. It's such a banger.
Great.
Yeah, man, it was so great. And to me, this matchup is very volatile. It's hard for me to I can see a lot of different things happening, right? I can see Chandler taking him down, having some success on top. I can see Chandler hurting Oliveira on the feet. I can see Oliveira hurting Chandler. I can see Oliveira submitting Chandler. And I come to the conclusion that I can see a lot of scenario where this fight finish with either guy, basically. They're both getting dropped in a lot of their fights. And you mentioned a point to me that Oliveira is winning the fight that he get hurt in more often than not, and Chandler is losing them. So I think that's true.
Yeah.
So it's just Oliveira, you know, been there, done that, was the champion. Chandler is hungry. He's older and 2 years layoff, so that's a concern. But he looks in very, very good shape and motivated. So I'm not sure how. I don't really think he's going to come out and look bad, to be honest. I just think it's going to be a banger. But yeah, I think Chandler KO 1, Oliveira sub. If anything, I don't think Oliveira is going to knock him out again. I tend to believe that rematches don't go the same, and maybe Oliveira submit him this time, or maybe he gets knocked out. But I think the under is the way to go, to be honest. You kind of cover both sides, and it's juice, but it's very safe. And Like, I really don't see this fight going 5 rounds. Like, if you tell me, like, yo, one of the fight between John Jones and Oliveira went 5 rounds, which one it was? Like,
Yeah.
no way I think Oliveira was the one going 5. I just don't see that happening at all. Just the way they both fight, super chaotic. They put themselves in danger. They get dropped and shit. So I think Oliveira's gonna win probably by submission. Um, but I think Chandler is live. I think the price is a bit wide. I think that I wouldn't play Charles at minus 255 or whatever it is. I make a lot of money on this fight in the past, but he was always closely line or the underdog. But at big chalk like that, he's too volatile to lay this type of price. But I do think he's gonna win and probably by submission. But I think the way to play it is to play some juice on the under, maybe 2.5, 3.5. Maybe even 5 doesn't go. I mean, that's big chalk, but it's probably value on it still. I think at least 90% this fight going like this fight's not going 5 rounds, maybe even 95%. Like, I really don't see that fight going 5.
Yeah, I agree, bro. Yeah, it should be around minus 900 odds or something like that. 10% is fair. Yeah. It's I don't know who's gonna win, but I definitely favor Charles. But Chandler KO round 1 and round 2 is a decent bet, for anyone that wants to bet. I actually think that Charles is probably more likely to KO him than submit him. Obviously, it's picking straws at that point. It could be any, but I know he KO'd him last time. I just think that, Michael Chandler's pretty good at defending submissions. I know he got submitted against Dustin Poirier, but he was so tired and he was just fully gassed up and he basically gave up. He could give up here, but
I think one good bet, James, for what you just said, is fight end by KO. It's plus 100 and it's basically fading Oliveira's submission.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't mind that. I actually didn't know what that price was, but I was thinking about it earlier the week. What would be ends KO? Because that could be a good price tag up. Plus money's good. They're basically saying it's 50-50 to end by KO. My opinion.
No. I think it's stupid. And it's like, they're saying it's minus 800 to go inside the distance, to finish inside the distance. And they're saying it's plus 100, 50-50 to end by KO. Yeah, I also disagree with that strongly.
Like 70-30 or something? Like at least. I would say 70-30. If someone wants to say 60-40, then fair enough.
I don't think that's right. Yeah, I think that's a good bet for sure.
Yeah, so ends KO there. We'll write that down. I like that a lot, actually. Obviously, that's a bit of a dodgy. I don't know if you can parlay that one, but I'm going to write it down anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we can, but we can still write it down because we both like it.
Oh, you can't even see it. Fuck. All right, so I'll write it. Versus Chandler. What are we liking on this one? Are we liking anything? We said the unders.
Yeah, the under that we like are going to be on Bet365, though. Under 2.5 is minus 250. Under 3.5 minus 425. I like both.
Yeah. What is the actual under? 1.5. What is it?
Yeah, it's 1.5 and it's under 1.5 minus 125. I don't like it as much because I could see it going over 1.5, but I really don't see it going over 2.5, if you know what I mean.
No, neither do I. I do like them better, but I also don't think that's that bad, under 1.5.
No, not at all, for sure. Yeah.
I probably favor it to finish probably under 1.5, I would probably say.
Yeah, maybe 60% under 1.5.
Yeah, something like that. All right, sweet. So we'll leave that. Money lines, we haven't wrote anything down. And that's it, boys. We officially crossed 1,000 live viewers. So thank you, everybody. Everyone, again, go follow Drav, everybody watching here on Twitter. I'm sure he'll plug his stuff when we run out. But yeah, been good having you on, brother.
Thanks, bro. It's been a fun podcast.
Yeah, man, good fun. And the fun is yet to come because we got the main event and then we got to make the parlays, which is the funnest part. But yeah, the main event, man, I think someone commented on my breakdown earlier this week on this fight. And they asked the question, they said, is this the oldest title fight in history? And I can't think of one older than this. Can you? I mean, Stipe and Cormier is like in the running. And obviously That's not the same because it was years ago, but I can't think of anyone this old, bro.
Glover and Blachowicz.
Yeah, that's in the running. I don't think they was as old as this though. 42 plus 37.
I think it was close. Let me check.
Probably like 41 versus 35 or some shit. But you're right. That's definitely probably the next one. Bisping versus Dan Hendo 2. Yeah, that'll be up there as well. Let's search that. You do the Blachowicz one, and I'll search the Bisping one.
Oh, so it's actually 42 years old for Glover and 38 for Jan Blachowicz.
Oh, so it's older by 1 year.
Yeah.
Because you got the 42, same age, and then you got the 38.
Yeah, 1 year older, actually.
Great call, bro. So we got Bisping versus Henderson. Oh, I have to do the age. 2016. Bisping. He's 45 now. So at the time he was Bisping 45. He looks pretty good for 45. Fucking hell. So at the time he was 35, 37. So that was 37, just like we got Jones versus Dan Hendo's 54. Jesus Christ. So he was 44, 42. So at 42 versus 37. That's the exact same as...
Crazy.
Oh, wait. No, I got it wrong. Yeah, no, it's 46. He was 46. Damn. So he was 46 years old versus 37. So that's the oldest one. So yeah, good call by both of you boys. But yeah, I mean, this is up there, right? So it's not number one. Didn't know if it was number one, but fuck, man, you're talking about like
37
old motherfuckers. Yeah, you're talking about two old motherfuckers again in this one. And I mean, he's minus 700. So I don't have too much to say on this one, because what can you say about a minus 700? I do think that this is completely predicated on how Stipe looks. I mean, it might just turn out that Stipe looks fucking Stipe looks similar to how he looked last time out. And that shit's going to be a war. That's going to be a war, because I think Stipe can defend takedowns. John Jones doesn't have the best takedowns in the world. If he gets you down, the guy's a motherfucker. But let's not forget Dominic Cruz stuff in all of his takedowns, Thiago Santos stuff in takedowns. Like, I could definitely see Stipe stuff in takedowns if he's still got, half his fight skill there. And then it becomes a fight on the feet, which is going to be fairly close. John Jones probably outpoints him, but I don't think anything crazy on the feet. So, yeah, I think Stipe definitely can make it close. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. I personally think Stipe is going to come back looking like Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? Like, Stipe does not look like good. Looking like Joe Biden, looking like Mike Tyson. But, obviously, that's still a guess, right? So, personally, Drav, I think that John Jones is going to end up finishing Stipe here. I don't know if it's going to be KO. I don't know if it's going to be sub. I just think Stipe is too old. I've seen him. I've seen his training footage. I mean, he's got 4 years out of the octagon. That last fight, he got knocked out brutally. Also, I've seen his training footage, and he looks stiff in his training footage, stiffer than he used to. He looks like he's lost the touch physically. He doesn't look that good. I think he looks worse than he did 4 years ago, even in the training footage, hitting pads. So, yeah, man, like I said, we can't understand the guy, just like we can't understand Stipe. He could look way worse here. And I think that John Jones, he could definitely look worse. John Jones, I don't think he's going to look as bad as Stipe. I think it's safe to assume that Stipe is more washed than Jones, just because the age is 5 years difference. That's big. Also, John Jones is the best ever. So I just expect him to be able to fight longer and later. Also, John Jones has got the best performance recently. He fought only 2 years ago, and he submitted one of the best fighters in that division. And then on top of that, Stipe is obviously looking bad in his training footage and been out for longer. So, all of that combined, I think it's safe to assume that John Jones looks better in this fight than Stipe does in terms of he's less washed. And so he should go through Stipe. I'm picking him to win inside the distance. But if I was playing this fight, I mean, I look at the odds after your breakdown, but if they got a massive plus money on some type of over, I potentially wouldn't mind it. Obviously, it's kind of a guess, and you're hoping that Stipe isn't completely gone. But yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you say, bro, because it is kind of a guess, this fight. So I don't think you can have a strong breakdown. But maybe you're seeing something that I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not, to be honest. I lean to the over, like you said, over 1.5, 2.5. I feel like John's probably is gonna finish him, but maybe later in the fight, maybe around maybe 2, 3, 4, something like that. Um, but like you said, we don't really know how Stipe is gonna look. But I mean, we don't really know how John's gonna look at heavyweight either. Let's not forget. I mean, the fight against Cyril was so short, and with the only little striking exchange that I've seen in that fight, I mean, he looked kind of slow, and I don't know, he looked kind of weird on the feet. It's just a short footage, so we don't really know. But Stipe is proven at heavyweight at the end of the day. He's been the champion and everything, so I think we could see this fight playing out close. And let's not forget that Johns, before he kind of retired, he had some close fights, man. I mean, he was not destroying these guys and finishing these guys easily. He doesn't have a lot of finishes recently as well. And I think since the Cyril fight, they're playing the over, like they're making us pay chalk on the under. And I think it was not the case for the Cyril fight. So I think that's interesting. Of course, John could finish him, but I think there's also a world where like he wins a decision here, and the price for the GTD are pretty big and tempting. But I'm not sure what I want to do here. I'm looking at the props and everything. Like I said, I do think he's gonna finish him at some point, but probably like 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
And I also agree. I also think that Stipe looked in great shape. He looked like he's taking it seriously. But yeah, maybe John Jones 2, 3, 4. So I like the over 1.5 in that fight. The 2.5, it's the line on Bet Online and most books. I don't like it as much, but the over 1.5, I like it more. Um, yeah, I think it's like minus 180 or something.
yeah. So I actually writ down John Jones, Stipe Miocic over 1.5, over 2.5 question mark, and then GTD / Jones decision question mark. So we're on the exact same page in terms of value wise. I haven't got to a bet yet. Again, it's like so many spots on this card where I think that's the value side, but in terms of bets, am I really going to pull the trigger? But yeah, I kind of agree with you, man. I mean, it was chalky. It was like minus 150 over 2.5 in that Cyril Gane fight.
Yeah,
now it's plus 135. It's massive, massive, massive overcorrection. You're getting the same price. You're getting the same price for the over 1.5 here than you got over 2.5 on that fight. When outside of the age gap and outside of Stipe coming in like Biden, he has stylistically way better chance to survive, because I guess mainly just because of the wrestling defense. Obviously, Cyril Gane, can be taken down and he's got nothing on the mat. So, yeah, it just seems weird. The overcorrection seems quite big. I don't think Jones is this crazy finisher at heavyweight, but how annoying would it be to lay chalk on the over 1.5 and then Stipe does come in looking like Biden and gets rammed through in round 1? I think it's a real possibility here. Like I said, he looks bad on the pads, man. He could just look so bad and just get rammed through. I'm actually not picking it to happen, but just, kind of like how you said, if Mickey Gall goes out there and just squanders it and you lay a chalk on him, you're going to be pissed off. I feel the same way that if I lay chalk on something here and Stipe looks like Biden, like I think so probable to happen, and I've even spoke it out loud, if that happens, I'm going to be kicking myself like you would with the Gall bet. So, yeah, personally, I think I'll probably end up passing, but man, it is tempting those overs and stuff like that.
But at the same time, James, I mean, if you look at it like in John's career, right? If we don't count the Cyril fight, the last time you destroyed someone in round 1, it was in 2013. All these fights like decision, and he has like a late finish against Gustafsson. But like his last round 1 finish was in 2013.
Yeah, but I mean, he weren't fighting Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this guy might be Joe Biden. Like, it's nothing to do with John. Honestly, the under ain't to do with John. Because like, if you're talking about John Jones, you're banging the overs, you're max betting the overs. Like, there's no way you can bet the unders, right? When you go to the Stipe side, like, it's like, I mean, even in his losses, like Stipe, he got finished by Francis under 1.5, I think, right? I think that was under 1.5. It was early round 2. He got his last loss before that was Cormier. That was also in round 1. I'm not saying like.
And Ngannou was in round 2, but it was early round 2.
Yeah, early round 2, under 1.5. But then Cormier was in round 1. Yeah. So like both of those were under 1.5 rounds. And there's his only losses in like the last 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. So no, I definitely agree. Like if you're looking on the Jones side, it's overs all day. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just
yeah, I agree with you. The age, the 4-year layoffs, the KO loss that he had was brutal last time out. So there's concern. But hey, also, Jones, he had an injury, like a surgery with his pec or something in November, huh?
Yeah.
People are not really talking about it. I know it's been like a couple months, maybe even a year. But
this fight seems kind of like how we were speaking about Bo Nickal fight. Like anything can kind of happen.
Yeah.
You know, like anything can happen. And when we're saying that, like you wouldn't be surprised by Stipe coming out looking terrible and John Jones just like ground and pounding him in round 1 or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's possible. But I still think that, I'm not sure he's going to have an easy time taking Stipe down. And Jones has not really been a guy that just big power knocking this guy out at 205. So I think that if you finish him, it's more going to be like 2, 3, 4. I think it's more like to be honest. So I still like the over 1.5, but like you said, I wouldn't still not play it. I don't think, because there's some there's some unknowns on that fight on both sides actually.
Yeah, and the way I see it is like, just like you, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there, maybe gets him down, ground and pounds him. Stipe just looks terrible, looks so bad. Everyone's laughing. He should never have come back. Something like that, right? 4 years out. Yeah. I wouldn't be so surprised at that, but I also wouldn't be surprised Stipe landing heavy shots and it going to a decision and it being a really fun fight. Like the Dominic Reyes fight. I wouldn't be surprised either, man. So if I'm not surprised either way, that just means that's fucking volatile matchup. And then if it's volatile, you have to go for like the big prices. So the GTD at plus 350, with John goes to decision all the time, man. So the GTD at plus 350 or maybe the plus money or something like that, then you have to lean that way. But yeah, personally, I don't know. Do you want to write anything down?
I'm just gonna pass completely on it, to be honest. I just don't feel strong enough to like put it in parlays.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same, bro. I'm gonna pass. So we're both passing. So that's it, boys. We've done the entire breakdown. 1,079 live viewers. I said at the start we're gonna get over 1,000, and we made it over 1,000. So very happy about that. Shout out to all 1,000 of you. Appreciate you very much. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, all of that good shit. We're gonna do the parlays now. We'll do one parlay each and draw. I've changed the format, right? So basically, we used to do 7 parlays, yeah, and that's a lot of fucking parlays. And it went well, man. I'm going to get the results up right now as I'm speaking, but we was cashing very often. But when you're doing 7 parlays, we wasn't doing plus 200s. We wasn't doing plus 300 parlays. We was putting plus 200s in the parlay. So all of our parlays, I mean, I think our average parlay is ridiculous, like plus 1,000 or something like that, like maybe even higher. Like all of our parlays were like plus 800, plus 900, plus 1,400. And when you do bets like that, you're going to lose a lot, right? So there were weeks in a row where we just didn't win. Overall, we completely smashed it. And I've actually got the Parlay Madness all-time record up in front of me right now. And the all-time record is plus 38 units. So with 28% ROI. That's huge, right? So unfortunately, boys, too many losing weeks, even though we won massively. People were moaning. New viewers would come in. Oh, you lost your parlays this week. I'm like, mate, we're up 28% ROI, 40, 50 units in the last like 20 shows. There's not many shows that can say that, that they give out bets on the show and they're up that many units. So even though it was very highly profitable, unfortunately, boys, today I am officially retiring the last Parlay Madness format. We retire on 38.6 units profit. We retire on 28% ROI. Rest in peace to that format. Shout out to everyone who's been a part of that. That was a good format. But what I'm going to do now is just do one long shot parlay at the end of the show with the parlay pieces we've chose, and that's it. Nothing more to talk about. We'll just do one parlay. Most likely it won't hit because I'm still going to do big odds. I'm still doing plus 700, plus 800. But I ain't doing these 7, 8 parlays anymore and stuff like that, unfortunately. But, Drav, I'm going to give it to you if you can. I'm going to let you do the first parlay. If you want me to go first and you're still building it, it's fine. I can whip something up now. But, yeah, if you can go, then let me know.
How many legs do we go? 2,
Whatever
3?
you want, bro. You can do 2. You can do 10.
And we go 1 parlay each, right? That's what you said.
Just 1, bro. Yeah.
Okay. My first leg is going to be Diniz plus 126. I already decided on that.
Okay. And boys, if you want to have a look right now, let me make us smaller. So boys, if you can see, these are all of the plus money legs we have. You know, give Drav a help in the chat. Add some plus money legs. Maybe you remembered something that he was keen on. Put it in the chat where I can read it out. I'll put it on the screen for me as well. If you think something I was keen on, you know, we'll make the parlay together right now. I do have something in mind, but yeah, just put the best parlay pieces that you think as well, and maybe we'll go with the chat. So we got Diniz for you for the first leg.
Yeah.
You know what? First leg for my one, I'm going to do this one. Weidman versus... We just build them together, bro. Fuck it. We don't have to...
Perfect.
We can just do them at the same time. Who cares? We're switching up the game. So I got Weidman versus Anders under 2.5 rounds. I like this one. Plus 175. Like I said, is it going to cash? I don't know, but I think that it's a wide line. So I'm gonna take that for my first leg.
All right. I'll go juicy then. I'll go with the under 2.5 also for the Silva fight, plus 200.
Nice. Silva Araujo. I like that. I like that.
And I think I'm gonna take another one.
Okay. So I actually built a parlay before this show, because I have to record it and lock it. I was thinking that I could make one online right now, but I can't. So I've already got my parlay, boys. So unfortunately, we got McGhee Gall money line at minus 143. That's going to be my second leg.
For my third, I'll take Veronica Hardy minus 140.
Nice. So we got Hardy up there, minus 140. All right, bro. So if you want to calculate that, or if you got more legs, whatever, but I'll look at
No, that's going to be it. I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, bro. I got the odds up there if you need it. All right. So last leg for me, boys. Just shout out whenever you got the odds, bro. But yeah, last leg. What's it?
1062.
Nice, bro. Plus 1062 for Drav's parlay. Let's see, man. That should only hit 1 in 10 times. So hopefully this is the 1 in 10. All right. My last leg. What one did I do for my last leg? Man, I'm forgetting my last leg. Was it even one I put here? It was Weidman under 2.5. Weidman under 2.5. Trav, can you distract the chat while I look up what I wrote? Who's saying?
I'm not saying anything. John within 2 rounds. Doug decision. Gall decision. Don't you like that, James? No, you already played the money line.
I played the money line, but I honestly think he can win inside the distance. Remember I was saying that? I think he could potentially win ITD, bro.
That's true, yeah.
What did I like? Well, I like the Oliveira ones, but
yeah, Oliveira under 2.5 also. But you can't.
I like Oliveira under 2.5, but it's kind of shit juice. Like I'd rather a bigger. I don't want to give them a plus 400. I want to give them a big one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. Chandler just got it as we speak. He's
Chandler.
He's plus 195 now. He was plus 215 30 minutes ago.
Drav, I remember what one I liked is the The fight that you like as well. Do you remember? Diniz fight.
Oh yeah, you like the under there.
Yeah. So I'll go with the under 1.5 because I know that's the
Yeah.
official total, and it'll be easier for people to parlay. I actually prefer the under 2.5. I'll just say that out loud right now. So that's like an exclusive. I like the under 2.5 better, but I ain't giving juice because it's just gonna be shit. So
I can
yeah,
calculate for you.
yeah. If you can calculate that one for me, what we got is going to be like plus 900 because I already did it before. But Gall money line was minus 135. I think it's moved a bit.
Plus 881.
I'll go with that, man. We both got 3 legs. They're both pretty high odds. Plus 881. So yeah, man. We're driving. We got the Diniz plus 126 with the Silva versus Araujo under 2.5 rounds at plus 200. And then we've also got the Hardy money line coming in at plus 140. You know, I'm super excited for that Hardy fight. I don't know if many people are going to be saying that if they haven't got a bet on it. I'm passing on the fight completely, and I'm really, really excited for it. That's how you know I love MMA, man, because I'm just excited to see, you know, who can get their game going, because I think it's an interesting matchup. I could definitely see Hardy winning it. I want to see Hardy on bottom, at least 1 point in the fight. Like, I want Hardy to win for you, and I like Hardy as well. I like Dan Hardy as well, but I want to see Hardy on the ground because I want to see how Moura, I want to see her defend some ground and pound, and, you know, so she can show me she's improved there for some data. But yeah, I got the lucrative parlay coming in, plus 881. So we got Weidman versus Anders 2.5 rounds at plus 175. We got Gall money line at minus 140 and under 1.5 rounds in the Diniz fight. I didn't write that. Diniz versus Tybura under 1.5 rounds, 3-leg parlay at plus 881. So that's it, boys. That's your lot. We got 2 parlays now. Again, big shout out to Drave. Thanks for coming on, bro. I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. Anything you want to say to the people before you go? The floor is yours. I know you got a YouTube channel, so they're on YouTube right now. Maybe they can subscribe. I know you got your Twitter. You got a lot of shit going on, bro. So shout it all out, my man. And thanks for coming on again. Short notice as well. So good, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro. I hope we both catch this weekend. So if you guys like my breakdowns, my thoughts overall, I do my own show, like James mentioned, with 2 other guys. It's Beat the Line Broadcast on YouTube and also on Twitter. So if you want to follow our show, we go live every week, you know, every Wednesday. And also my Twitter, it's JV_, where I do post free bets and stuff like that. But I also have my Dub Club if you want to subscribe and follow. All my bets are tracked and on Twitter in my bio. But thanks for having me, James. Always a pleasure, bro. And yeah, like I said, we do agree on, I think, some of these fights. And
Yeah,
you know, some of these fights we don't really see the same, but we don't really have a bet against each other. So I think that's good. And yeah, we only need to catch one of these 2 parlay, and that's a bang, you know. And if we catch both of them, it's gonna be magic.
Yeah, that's it, bro. And like I said, I kind of wish this was a different show because I would have a lot more hot takes. It's one of those ones where I'll pick a winner, but at the end of the day, I'm like, there's still value on the other side, or I can see that happening, and I don't like doing that because you sound wishy-washy, but you know how it is being a sports bettor, bro. You can't just give some mad strong opinion every time. And I know these internet marketers that are not sports bettors, but they think they are, they often give like heavy takes because they want to go viral and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, I have to be honest with the people, and we can only bring what the card gives us, right? And I try to be honest all the time, even if it's kind of annoying and I'm like not picking an outright winner. So it seems like that's what happened this week. But, you know, we still got a lot of bets down here. We still got a lot of plus parlay pieces. Hopefully some of you guys can, you know, mix these parlays up on your own. As I said as well, we're not making those 7 parlays anymore. So what you boys can do can literally take a screenshot of this right now. Take a screenshot of this, screen record this, do this, whatever you want to do. I'm going to scroll down in about 5 seconds slowly. And what you can do is couple up these parlays yourself and make your own parlays, you know, if you feel so inclined. Or you can just take the breakdowns. I'm going to scroll down now. Or you can just take the breakdowns and stick with what we're going with. But that's it, man. Like I said, Drav, thanks for coming on. I will hit you up in the DMs and let's have a good weekend, bro. Peace.